guys, welcome back to Story Lords. We took a bit of a break for the Christmas and New Year holidays.
Honk, honk.
And then we decided to, I think we had another week off, and then we decided, all right, it's about time we came back. So, we are Story Lords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories, and infinite laughter. I am one of your hosts, Rich Masters, and with me, as always, are my 2 fellow hosts, Jeff Pennington.
Hey, everybody!
And Josh Henderson.
You kind of tricked me. I thought I was going first, and now I'm gonna complain about it.
He's gonna be mad for the rest of the episode.
Never gonna let it go.
And in true Christmas style, we brought a waif in from the streets. Little Christmas orphan that we found. It's Kevin Cole.
Hello.
Little Kevin Cole wheeling in on his little wheelie scooter from the gym class.
He's got his crutches.
My leg don't work.
Tiny Kevin is here.
And if you don't head over right now to patreon.com/storylords, we're gonna let Scrooge kill this kid.
I've got scrambled leggies.
And Kevin Cole, who did not die.
Woo!
So,
Oh man.
the horrible child death aside, our prompts this week were oil and parasites, bringing in the new year with cheery prompts.
Damn.
This worked out really well for me, by the way.
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a roll with these, so I say keep them coming.
Yeah,
you know?
you're doing good, guys. This is no frogs and whatever it was, nightmares.
I think it was frogs and what was it?
I don't know.
Princesses and disasters.
It's no princesses and disasters. The prompts that never were.
Every episode is that.
It's certainly a
The
disaster.
disaster part. Yep.
This week, Josh is going first.
Wow.
So let's take
You're welcome.
Let's take a little hop, skip, and a jump over to the freakiest place this side of Freakville, the lap dancing club. It's
Wow, you want to write my story for me? Because you just gave away a major part of my story.
let's go to Daranos.
My story this week is called Sludge.
Nice.
And I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, and I swear like the shadow that's by your side, for better or worse, till those tents do part. I love you and every skeet and front fart. Pep, Chickpea scolded. We're never gonna make regionals if you can't take this seriously. Chickpea angrily switched off the all-C cassette player and placed her hands on her many hips.
Wow.
The two stood there in full-blown neon leotards. This song is ducksin' as fucksin', sis, Peppercorn responded, still snickering at his change of lyrics. When I agreed to help you, I didn't know I was going to have to dress up like Brain Fonda, Daranos' famous Mind Flayer workout tape huckster. Brain Fonda don't even have a motor in the back of her bone Honda. My Anaconda don't want none unless you got back yams, ma'ams.
This is a 10 out of 10 episode already.
Happy New Year, everyone.
How does he keep doing it? How does he?
Was it worth the wait?
He finds it in him.
Ugh. Demi rolled over in her cot. Out of her blurry eyes, she saw 2 neon-clad mini people arguing. Fairies? Fairies are real? She said sleepily. Wow, rude, the 2 gnomes said at once. First of all, we're gnomes, Peppercorn corrected, picking a wedgie out of his completely innocent butt crack. That's racist as fuck, Chickpea interjected. Second of all, Pep continued, fairies do exist, but good luck finding a fairy that looks good in a onesie. You won't. Peppercorn struck a modeling pose that would make even the most exhibitionist pinup models blush. Hell yeah, Fred shouted from the other room in agreement. Sorry, guys. I'm a little out of it from whatever the hell happened to me. Maybe it's some kind of time sickness. Like if you time travel, you get car sick from the change in time or something. Demi rubbed her head and tried to rub the sleep out of her eyes. Girl, you straight up got your bleh.
Did you write that?
Girl, you straight up fired magic bolts out of your butt, Chickpea said. Maybe that's a symptom, Demi said, reaching for an explanation. I had similar symptoms about a week after I got back from Damsterdam. I chalked it up to the change in time zones too, since what else could it have been? Nothing. That's what. Don't look it up, Pep said as he hurried to change out of his leotard. Whoop, 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 whoop. A klaxon blared and an all-sea ball alarm strobed to life. Oh my gods, what the actual shit is happening right now? Demi yelled over racket. That's just like our new alarm for when crime happens or whatever, Chickpea yelled back. Flamingos, gather, Sid spoke over the all-sea system. Ugh, Demi groaned as she covered her face with the blanket and flopped back down on the cot. Chickpea waved her hand magically and changed into her regular adventuring outfit. The magical sparkles had barely begun to dissipate as she entered the bar where the flamingos were indeed gathered under Sid's gather sign that he bought at a Bloodbath and Beyond for half price. What now? Chickpea groaned. Mayor Pizza has called us in especially for this one, Sid said, more seriously than usual. He needs the big guns, and we're up to bat. All hands on deck. No witnesses. Time is money. Get busy living or get busy not living. Sid kept reciting hackneyed cliches that no writer should ever put in their script.
Uh-oh.
I thought we were like a crime gang, Chickpea interrupted. Yeah, didn't this used to be like a clubhouse where kids would smoke cigarettes and play all-sea-cade games and skateboard around until we all go out and steal an all-sea ball or two from the back of a bone truck? Peppercorn added.
All-sea-cade is genius, by the way.
Those days are well and long behind us, Sid said even more seriously. We have saved girls so many times, we become the city's official heroes. Gay, Chickpea said, rolling her eyes.
Chickpea, you so classy.
Hard-ass pass, Gunk chimed in from a booth nearby. I said all hands on deck, Sid said, slamming his fist into the bar. Gunk cleared his throat and hawked a loogie onto the wooden floor. Duncan and I formed the Flamingos as a place for misfit weirdos to do cool crimes, race boner cycles, bet on hookers, pimp out bookies, and just generally give the middle finger to everyone. And yet here we are taking orders from a do-gooder who now takes his orders from some pepperoni politician who may as well be just another mob boss.
Bet on hookers?
Yep.
That's how we do it. First of all, racist, Sid said, taking umbrage. Second of all, in order for us to get away with what we've been getting away with, we need to play a little ball. You think we have a liquor license for this place? You think we pay taxes here? You think I go to an all-day seminar on food prep and sanitation before we serve up a haunch after haunch of God knows what kind of meat this is? Everyone looked over to a hanging carcass of some kind of mystery meat. Flyman was suckling on it while his acidic saliva began to digest it slowly into his suck hole. The foghorn sound effect then went off for some reason and somehow. What? Flyman said as he continued to suckle the meat. Still the king, Fred said, chuckling. Hard-ass, motherfucking, cock-sucking, titty-fucking, ass-blasting pass, Skunk said, slowly standing up and getting into Sid's face, or as close as he could without a stepladder. Yeah, why don't you just dig a hole and bury yourself in it with your pumpkin wife, you pumpkin fucking dirt-shoveling miner, Sid shot back.
Jesus.
Ooh, a voice from outside said studio audience-ly. And that's minor spelled M-I-N-O-R, since you're a minor part of the decision-making and character arc. And your character arc is also non-essential to the story, Sid said with a smug
Fucking
smile.
got him.
My great aunt was a pumpkin, you son of a beardless bitch, Gunk shouted back and lunged towards Sid. Enough! Demi shouted from the doorway. Around her was still draped a blanket from her cot. Her face was sunken in like she hadn't slept in weeks. Dark circles under her eyes were noticeable as she stepped into the dim light of the bar. I'm going with, she said matter-of-factly. But you're sick, Gunk stumbled. I'm going, if only to get away from this fighting you two toxically masculine chode chuggers insist on doing every goddamn day, Demi shouted. Why don't you guys drop pantaloons right here and suck each other's baby dicks off and get it over with? Fuck! I'm liking this girl more and more, Shakespeare said, smiling. Fine, you're in, Sid said. Fine, do whatever you want, but if she gets hurt, troll, I'll make you useless in ways you haven't even thought about. All right, everyone, suit up, Sid said as he waved his hands around like an anime. Magical emotion lines shot through the bar as he turned in place with his hands on his hips. All around him, magical sparkles glittered into being as a hot pink unitard morphed around his every curve and muscle. On his chest was a giant letter F. The latex-like garment glistened on his body in the candlelight as the anime montage came to a screeching halt. Chickpea stood beside Sid out of breath. I'm, never doing that again, she said. Also, that's a hard no for me on the new unis, Chief. Yeah, they look pretty bad, Peppercorn said. Maybe I will stay here, Demi said. Mew, 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 Buffcat said from his cat bed across the room. Yeah. The whole crew laughed and did the Arsenio whoop at the sick bird as even Flyman got in the stunting by grabbing his gross face flaps and falling in front of the camera like that Super Hot Fire video. The boner van pulled up in front of a bumping club. Out front, the gang could hear a rumble of bass and sick, nasty beats from within. Club Sludge? Demi read the huge neon sign in Old Orcish. New hot club on the scene, Sid said, packing away a few extra throwing stars. Mayor Pizza wants us to scope it out. Says there's a lot of weird shit going on there. People come in, they never come out. Probably just dancing to death and turn it into Skeleton, Fred said. I miss college. All right, kid. Chickpea pulled Demi aside. This club is 210 plus, so here's my old fake ID. Chickpea handed over an all-C ID with a holographic image hovering above it. It was of a grizzled-looking dwarf woman with a beard and one eye. The name underneath said, Pee-Pee Poopus. Great, Demi said. How's this supposed to work? Just act like a dwarf and close one eye. Better yet, here's an old eye patch I used to get into clubs. Chickpea reached into her bag of holding and pulled out an old crusty eye patch, placing it over Demi's eye. Oh, and better pull your hair under your chin and pretend like it's a beard. Oh, and don't forget to fart a lot, Chickpea said. And whatever you do not, let's get rolling, gang, Sid interrupted. Chickpea hopped out of the side door and they were off. Fred stayed in the driver's seat as Gunk was no longer interested in being the getaway driver. Buffcat remained at the bar to keep an eye on Gunk as was requested by Sid and Flyman. And Sid. And Flyman, who cares? Nobody really cares, right? You think you want him in the stories, but what do you know? Nothing, that's what. You don't even know that I was all up in your mama's guts last night blasting her with that sexoplasm, and then I ghosted the fuck out of her while she kept calling me for 2 weeks trying to get another piece of my clam rod.
The timeline there doesn't line up. You were blasting her last night, and then she called you for weeks.
Time works differently in Darrenos, man.
Yeah, this guy's from the future, everybody.
Look. Are you the audience today?
I formally apologize.
You don't want to be the audience.
You want this smoke? You want this smoke?
Look, I formally apologize. I would never be this audience.
Sid, Chick, and Demi confidently walked up to the doorman, or should I say door orc, or dork for short. He stood about 6 foot 12 inches tall and had a mace in one hand and a clipboard in the other. His greenish, pukish colored skin, about 6 foot 12. His greenish, pukish skin colored was muted by the din of the humming neon lights that permeated out of the club, making him look like a grizzled old piece of chewed up leather or your mama's Veej after she hits the tanning booth for the 5th time this week.
Veej.
Hold it right there, the dork said, holding up his
Rich
mace.
is in this story.
Yep.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, it's me. You know it's me, Rich man.
There's 2 of us.
No, it's you. Hold it right there, the dork said, holding up his mace to bar their way. Let us in, Sid demanded. The dork squinted and studied Sid with a low growl. A slight smirk shot across his face as he stepped toe-to-toe with the troll rogue, as he then held out a single hand. Sid looked down and saw... Hey! Sid looked down. That was a cat. Sid looked down and saw a gnarled-looking hand that looked like he had held on to an M80 for a second too long. Or what your mama's roast beef Sammy looks like after I shove my M80 and let it go off after 1 second. How are we not rich from? How are we not wealthy right now? You know? Sid smirked and held out his own hand. He grabbed onto the dork's hand and let loose the most complex and choreographed handshake ever seen. Demi's eyes danced as she tried to follow some of the moves, which she was sure couldn't be seen with the naked human eye. Finally, Sid dapped the dork, and both men recited the secret passwords. Stop, drop, shut him down, open up shop. All right, my man, have a good time, the bouncer said, undoing the chain rope. I'm with him, Chickpea said as she walked in after Sid. Demi reluctantly strode up to the chain and tried to act confident. Hold on there, little sister, the orc said, holding up his hand again. What? Demi changed her voice. What seems to be the problem, dog man, she said nervously. ID, the orc simply said, grasping the air with his hand. Oh, you do flatter me so, what with me being extremely old and legal, Demi said. The orc held up the fake ID. He tilted it in the light and glanced back down at Demi, who was now striking a dwarf pose. Kind of like she was using a pickaxe, but leaning to one side, looking back at the orc. He said under his breath. Boy, I sure do love axes, Demi said with a slight smile. Army matey, she finished with a flourish. The bouncer narrowed his eyes. Demi looked around for any help. Chickpea and Sid were already up ahead, entering the club, and didn't notice Demi had not followed them. Quick, Demi, think. Her eyes darted back and forth for an answer, and then, like lightning, it came. She looked the bouncer right in the eye and let out the squeakiest fart she could muster. She really leaned into that last bit as it changed an entire octave. Ha! Ha 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 ha! The orc laughed. All right, dwarf, enjoy the club. Yar, me be doing just that, me matey, she said in a pirate voice for no reason. Demi rushed into the club and caught up to Sid and Chick. The hell, guys, I was almost pinched back there, she yelled at Chick. They could have taken my all-C pick and posted me on the wall. But just as she was going to complain some more, the neon extravaganza that was Sludge hit her. The neon lights strode past her eyes and her pupils widened. Ladies and gentle orcs, shouted an MC. Please welcome to the stage the undisputed intercontinental champion of lust, Thundersaurus 6. The crowd went nuts. Demi could barely see past the undulating mob of green flesh, but there on stage stood a gigantic specimen of orc with muscles so big they must have used the Exxon Valdez to oil them all up. That is a timeless joke.
Everyone gets that.
Yes, don't look it up. Whoa, Debbie said. Yeah, tell me about it, Chick said, already holding up a piece of gold. And this lovely lady, Miss Slaymore, the MC shouted. Then, in all chrome, stood the most ripped-ass orc warrior ever seen, holding a 14-foot-long sword. She plunged the sword into the stage and began to pole dance around it. She even licked it and caused green blood to trickle down the blade. Double whoa, Demi said it all. Check, please, Chickpea said, throwing a stack of coins on stage. Over here, Sid yelled back as he pointed to a door that read, Orc employees only. Keep out. Demi was still in awe as Chick grabbed her by the arm and dragged her along. As they reached the door, Sid did a quick glance to see if anyone had seen him. All clear. He then pulled out a magical key out of his pocket. All right, Keith, do your thing, he said to the key. You got it, boss, Keith said, slipping into the lock. After a second, the door clicked and sprang open as Keith jumped back into Sid's pocket. Woo, Keith said. Could use a smoke after that one.
Banjo-Kazooie-ass key.
Is that a thing from Banjo-Kazooie?
Everything is alive in Banjo-Kazooie.
I didn't know. I never played that game. Well, I'm going to get sued.
Damn.
If you don't get sued for doing almost the entirety of a Boyz II Men song at the beginning of this episode.
It is not Boyz II Men. It is... Who is... Oh, my God.
All for One?
Men. All for One, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's All for One.
What's the difference, right?
Good question.
Chickpea now led the way. She held up a fist to stop the other two from moving forward. The hallway they had entered was dark. The thump of orc techno was still pounding through the floorboards. Around a corner, Chickpea sensed a group of orcs with maces doing rounds. After they moved on, she motioned them to move forward. Soon the trio made it to a doorway with those, meat curtain things. You know, like in a slaughterhouse. Not like, Mama's meat curtains, although her flappy lappy is big enough to cover a doorway. Those plasticky-looking things that they keep cold air in, I think, they have, a name. Probably, drug room curtains or bad guy curtains.
Yeah, obviously those two.
It's bad guy curtains for sure.
Chick and Sid slid through it as quietly as Demi followed their lead. Sid held up a single finger to his lips as they ducked down next to a vat of something awful. Demi pinched her nose as the stench hit her nostrils. The three slowly peeked out from behind the vat like a totem pole. There, in the neon-lit room, were dozens of workers chained to the floor. On their faces were rags. Over their eyes were makeshift goggles made out of old bottles. They were sifting through a powder. One would pick up a sifter and sift the powder, and then another would sprinkle something into it. Giggle dirt, Sid whispered. Yeah, so what do we... Yeah, so what? Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, so what? We do that. I mean, Sid looked up at Denny. Plenty of functioning adults use giggle dirt and still maintain a healthy work-life balance. Look at that, Sid said, pointing to another slave. In his hands was a crate of giggle dirt vials. Suddenly, a foreman wearing an octopus for a gas mask stopped the slave and picked out a single vial. He held it up to the light. As he stepped into the light, Sid could see he was wearing paladin armor. Fucking pig, Sid said, almost spitting. The foreman then pulled back yet another bad guy curtain. I knew I set that up. The foreman pulled back yet another bad guy curtain to reveal a party goer strapped to a sex chair. Or at least it could be used as a sex chair. There's a fine line between sex and hostage chair. What's the difference, am I right?
Jeez.
Wow.
Legally, there is a difference. The podcast recognizes that.
I thought you said you removed the risque jokes this episode.
I never said that. Let's test this batch, the paladin said, uncorking the vial. The party hostage was now wriggling, trying to get free of the restraints, but it was too late. The foreman took a pinch of giggle dirt and rubbed it on the party-goer's gums. Hey, thought you wanted to party, bud, the paladin said, laughing. The other guards laughed too, but only because they had to. The paladin, kind of like the show, the paladin then took a vial. The paladin then took a vial and blew the drug into the man's face. He sneezed and spat, trying to keep the dust out of his airways, but after a few moments, he became serene and calm. That doesn't work like that for... Chick said, looking up at Sid. Shh! Another dud, boss, a guard said to the paladin. Just then, the man in the chair retched. Out of his mouth shot a viscous black ooze that projectile vomited across the room some 10 feet. His spine twisted and contorted as he arched in the chair, still fastened tightly by his wrists and ankles. As the man sank back down, the black ooze shot back into his mouth from whence it came. Another orc guard vomited, and another simply said, "Gnarly, bro." The man in the chair was now convulsing and shaking. He was sweating and shaking so hard that the bolts holding the chair onto the floor began to rattle. The paladin and his guards instinctively stepped back a few paces, and just as quickly as it began, the man stopped shaking. "Check him," the paladin said. "No way, boss," the one orc who puked said. "I said do it," the paladin ordered. Without thinking, the orc went over and slowly to the man and held out a hand in front of his face. "I don't think he's breathing, boss," the guard said. Just as the guard was going to turn around, the man's hand shot up from the chair, ripping his own hand off at the wrist.
Whoa.
In the hand's place was now a golden, metallic, semi-liquid hand. It grabbed the guard and pulled him down to his face, which was now contorted and pained. The man smiled at the orc so hard that his teeth began to break inside of his head.
God damn.
Out of the jumble of broken teeth and blood, the man said, "I see you." He then popped the orc's neck and head backwards like he was a Pez dispenser, snapping his neck so totally that it hung loosely down his back like a ponytail. The man in the chair simply laughed and cackled, his eyes turning golden yellow as they liquefied inside of his skull and ran out onto the floor. "Jesus, orc Christ," said the other guard. "Another failure," the paladin sighed. "Make sure you clean this up, and make sure you get all this gold shit, too. This stuff is worth more than your mama's 3 dick fucking titties put together." "What the fucking fuck?" Demi said, horrified. "Yo, that was worth the price of admission," Chick said. "To be continued."
Oh,
God, what the fuck?
What the?
more gold.
Yeah, the gold. It's the fucking guy. Look, I write the horror stories, guys. What happened? Are we
I'm sorry.
sharing that? That was so scary.
I wanted him to be scary.
That was
I thought,
very
what
scary.
would Jeff do? And then I thought about your face, and it just came out.
I understand.
I
I
love
own
that,
mirrors. I understand.
I love that Demi's become the straight guy. She's so good. She's your Lionel.
Yeah, it's pretty much it, right?
I love
You gotta
less of a
have one of
loser.
them.
Yeah, she's a loser. She is a loser, but she's cool.
She's not a loser. She's cool. She got a flaming
Less of a
sword.
loser than Lion.
Yeah, Lionel's a total
But
loser.
that's like your ability to make characters just completely losery but lovable.
It's years of practice.
I love everything about chickpea and peppercorn.
Yeah,
That
Chickpea's the best.
That
Chickpea
shit's
is
tops.
probably my favorite Josh character at this point.
Yep, still got it. Still got Chickpea.
That was one of your
Flyman,
best
though.
stories. That was so fucking
thank
funny.
you.
Oh my god.
I've been watching a lot of 80s movies. 80s cop movies.
I appreciated all of the dwarf, even though there wasn't a dwarf technically in there. For a second, I thought because of all the farting that there was.
Yeah. Well, it's confusing.
Yeah.
You hear the fart. And you're like,
Gunk
oh,
is a
dwarves are here.
And it
dwarf, so
turns
he
out-
was in the story.
I don't.
Yeah, Gunk is.
But he did refuse to be in the story, so I guess that doesn't count.
He's being a little piss baby, kind of like dwarves are. They're a little piss baby.
He's been a piss baby for a good long while now. Sulky little
yeah.
bitch.
He's a little piss baby.
His His best friend died, everybody.
Yeah, get over it, man. It's been like over a year.
His best friend,
they keep
what's his
making new
name?
best friends.
died.
Who in a fantasy universe has an alive best friend?
That's a
True.
good question.
Name one.
Name one.
You can.
Name
Yeah.
7.
Excellent start to this week's episode.
All right. Woo!
You've done your part. Now you can rest.
So
I'm giving up the ghost and the cum.
So
so
we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna go down a coal hole.
hello.
We'll be right back.
This shit ain't final.
Welcome back to part 2. You asked for him, you said, let's have guests on the show. You didn't think about how that made us feel.
Wait, wasn't it our idea?
Shut up, Josh!
Oh, right. Oh, wait, we're gaslighting them. I forgot.
Yeah, we're gas lamping. We're gas lamping.
Wait, way to go, audience.
Yeah, and now he's here. And now we've got to put up with him.
Yeah.
Kevin Cole, it's your turn to read.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say, shrewd move by your audience to demand someone who does not have an established world.
Yeah.
Trying to find his place in the comedy square we've got going now.
Yeah.
This might put you to sleep, but...
Just grab onto a dick and start tugging. That's how you do it.
Oh, God. Oh, my tone. My tone is not going to be in line with this podcast.
If it's gonna be if it's serious, that's okay too.
I think this was it was maybe a bad decision to do Josh first because
No, it was a perfect decision to do Josh first.
Everybody in my life says that.
Listen,
it was a bad decision to have Josh, I think.
Once you have Josh, you can't even eat some squash. That's what they say.
I heard that.
I said to myself out loud in the presence of no one that I can't just copy Josh because I've been doing that too much. When I want to be funny.
You can do whatever you want.
I'll just pretend to be Josh. And I already did write a story in Josh's style, so I thought maybe I'll just try and write something in my own style. So
Hell yeah.
I think that's great.
Well, we support anything you do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We love you.
We don't have rules here.
No,
what do you think
we
this
don't.
is?
Sometimes
Wolf
we
Club? It's not.
Yeah,
sometimes
reaching
we
out.
write jokes, stories that have no jokes in them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I write stories that have jokes in them and then nobody laughs at the jokes.
Yeah, that's true.
well, I'm gonna post this in case anybody wants to read along, but you don't have to.
He's posting it for us?
Oh my
Oh,
God.
fucking the ambassador's spoiling
He has
us.
just changed the paradigm of the show. Why did we think of this?
The title of my story is A Light in the Swamp.
Damn it!
Yeah, just
Plagiarize.
just read all Kevin's jokes to really make it awkward.
Oh no, there's only like 2. Okay, so this takes place in my fantasy universe that's kind of going to be the follow-up to Space Kings. It's called Stone Song.
Hell yeah.
It's
Stone Thong?
it's very close.
What did you say?
Stone Song is
Different.
yes. Stone Song is sort of this universe where dwarves and humans and elves sometimes, if we have to, interact and have to coexist together, and the dwarves run a library of everything.
This is amazing.
Kevin, if people wanted to follow along with you creating Stone Song, where would they do that real quick?
They could do that at my Patreon, which is located at thegivekevinmoney.com.
Hell
If you type givekevinmoney.com into your web wobble, it'll take you right to my Patreon.
Give him money.
I do for reasons that will become very apparent. So this is my story. It's called A Light in the Swamp. Excuse me, Master Dwarf. You buy things, yes? Strange things? Willett sighed, but did not move from his workstation nestled behind the front desk. Nobody ever showed up at the library this late at night. He was the only librarian on staff, and he had hoped to pass his shift quietly by concentrating on his own research, which was sprawled out in front of him. The light from the turpentine lamps betrayed him in the end, even as they illuminated his notes, his sketches of bellflowers, and his massive copy of Dwarven Clans of Gar. There came a call for him. See, this is a little different tonally from Josh already.
It's good.
It's great, though.
Like, we
This
won
is
it.
good.
We won it.
All right.
Just make me look like shit. Go ahead.
They'll ruin you. There came a call for him again. I'm in a hurry, and I have something here you might be interested in. Addressing the nervous, flute-like voice coming from the front desk, Willett responded on reflex, attempting to finish the paragraph he had read and reread 4 times now in his drowsiness. Someone will attend to you shortly, he called out in a cold but still reassuring way.
Classic librarian.
Shortly, the voice snorted.
Oh, fucking got him.
This caused Willett to look up from his book. The young children and other smartasses of Pinewick had quickly learned that it was more cheerful and painless to throw rocks at a nest of hornets than to give Willett of many winters cause to look up from his book. In his 200 years of life, or so it was rumored, he had amassed an aura about him, a palpable air.
Can't go to sludge.
Can't go to sludge. Too old. A palpable air of do not bother this dwarf. Even that was not impenetrable enough, it seemed. A shame for the lad in a hurry.
Yo, Willett of Many Winters might be one of the sickest names I've ever heard.
He's been around. I used him as an NPC in one of my Stone Song games, and I just love him. He's a grumpy dwarf.
Him.
I love him already.
Yeah.
I love him more than
fuck him.
Josh.
I want to fuck him more than Jeff does.
No.
Yeah, he could use it, honestly.
You better be careful what you wish for, Willett.
Are we getting fanfic already? The flames gasped and cowered in their glass chimneys, and there was a small gulp from above the front desk. Willett stood up. His head turned, and his white, sharp eyes shot to the gulp's location. Slowly, leaving time for the fear to set in, they climbed up. The dwarf could see the lad clutched a large something to his chest, wrapped in a filthy, muddy scarf and held close by the lad's fidgeting fingers. Willett could not tell what that something was, though it was roughly the size of a healthy pumpkin. Pumpkins.
Oh my
he's gonna
God,
fuck
he's
it.
gonna fuck that pumpkin.
By the time the librarian's eyes had scaled up the stooping 6-foot beanpole of a human, the fear had set. Willett was met by 2 flickering sapphires searching for any and all exits from the room. Too late now. As he approached the desk, an indescribable stench rose above the burning camphine and wrinkled Willett's nose. Pig shit, swamp water, and faintly some charcoal that was trying and failing to muffle the other scents.
Those are my favorite Old Spice deodorants.
That's full on. That's what we call human scent.
That's how you know when to change your sheets.
That's what we call That's what we call hard working. Sorry, began the human, voice cracking. A teenager. Worse than a child, thought Willett.
True.
Yep.
The teenager tried again. Sorry, I'm in need of coin, and I thought, sorry accepted. I'll forgive the slight, said Willett. Surprising himself, he loved nursing an unforgiven slight. The flames flickered, darkening the librarian's face behind his fastidiously braided snow-white beard. I'll forgive the interruption of my personal break. I'll even forgive the olfactory violence you are currently perpetrating upon me with your presence. I'll lay these 3 jewels of forgiveness at your feet, and all I ask in return is that you turn your muddy boots in the other direction and simply walk back into the night. Willett very much doubted the youth had a grasp of what olfactory meant, though clues of context would surely give him the gist. And he was feeling lyrical
It's a
today.
factory where they make old things.
Yeah, it's an old factory. There you go, Josh. You're getting it. Come back tomorrow and find a sunnier librarian. You won't find a better deal than that. Willett had grown weary with his post in the village of Pinewick. His efforts were appreciated, which was all the more wearying for how trivial they were. Retrieve this tome, resolve this dispute, identify this mushroom. He was helping Pinewick, yes, a town that years ago held his heart, but his mind, he felt, was wasted here, keeping inventory of turnips and soap. This lad, with his pleading face, looked to Willett like any other Pinewick bumpkin at the end of their rope. You are Wyleth Manywinter, the Horde's master here? Asked the lad, noticeably not leaving.
Mispronounced his name.
I have been told that the dwarves keep strange hoards of paper and pots, and straw and secrets, and glass and gold, and will trade that gold with men who bring them oddities of unknown origin. I have such an oddity here, and I am in need of gold. Willett could feel a mind grain coming on. He had made a miscalculation. The lad lacked the sophistication of the average Pinewick bumpkin. There was so much wrong with the avalanche of garbage that rolled off this skinny mountain of a lad. He weighed for a moment if it was more worthwhile to dig through that garbage or to dig through his coin purse for the copper needed to make him disappear. He sighed. What are you called, lad? I am named Efric, master, said the teen, bowing with as much grace as his gangly bones would allow him. Efric the swineherd, son of Efric. Ah. That's half the mystery of the stench, thought Willett. No, he couldn't be Efric the perfumer, that's for sure. Then you are Master Wyleth, said Efric the swineherd, brimming with hope, and you will buy what I have brought for your hoard? I am Willett, young Efric, said the dwarf, crossing his hand to his shoulder in salute, but barely stooping his old back to bow. A pleasure and a privilege it is to make your acquaintance. I am at your service, and that service, it appears, begins with the honor of being your instructor and issuing a few corrections. Once again, the one addressing you here is Willett, which goes like millet, not like rye as in Wyleth, which was your first error. May I continue to the next? Yes, but...
My God, this guy is so passive-aggressive.
Putting things in terms of grain for this guy.
You should know what that is. His stupid brain can wrap his mind around that.
Efric, I've been given the byname of Many Winters by the people of Pinewick, even though there are no other Willets in town to distinguish myself by. Though, I vastly prefer it to Willett the Dwarf, a risk I've endured in a town with few of my kind. Dwarves, that is, not Willets. Your concatenation Many Winter is amusing, though I suppose as correct as can be if you're hastily shouting directions from a cart to a teenager in a rush. I will not fault you for this Many Winter business, though. Please know that just Willett, plain and simple, will suffice for the brief time we have together. I see. But finally, I am no master of hoards or anything else. Your information is somewhat correct by some accounts, although also very wrong by others, a common trait that I find fascinating nonetheless. Efric, you find yourself in a library. I'll be frank with you now that we're friends. I don't expect you to know what that means, library. I suppose... Wow. Let's start from hoard and work our way to library, shall we?
It's like a book hoard.
I still love this guy, though. I'm loving him more and more, to be honest.
Well, it's got chip on his shoulder, but he is fun.
His old ass shoulders.
His ancient fucking dwarven shoulders.
Yeah.
So wide. So old.
So girthy.
Oh, we don't. Now, I suppose a hoard and a library are both at their core a sort of stockpile, yes? The difference being in the flow of the stock to and from that pile. Things in a hoard, well, you want them to go in and stay there and not trickle out too much. That's why you'd employ a hoard master, I suppose.
I want to be that.
Which you aren't. Which I'm not. Thank you, Efric. That's good listening skills. I feel very heard. No, a library is more of a kind of place where you want the things in the pile to leave the pile and go where they're needed because they're useless in the pile. Tomes, books, the paper you mentioned are, of course, part of what we distribute here, but in Pinewick, there's more use in finding places for extra tools, food, connections, favors. What about oddities, then? You keep using that word, Efric, sighed Willett. Are you going to show me what you brought with you? Are you going to give me gold for it? Efric was getting excited and drummed his fingers on the oddity, causing small, glassy clicks to punctuate his words. Or was I wrong about that, too? Willett was, again, getting annoyed. If you'll take in your surroundings, young Efric, you'll note that we are not currently situated in a bustling market square. As I was saying, we tend to trade in knowledge around here. If it is known to me that what you have is of use to the people of Pinewick, then I would attempt to compensate you with what we have at the library and help you as you have so kindly helped us. We do not have the glittering halls of gold that you might find in the mountain home, but we do have some very nice soaps at the moment.
They haven't really invented, capitalism yet, so he doesn't quite understand.
We're still kind of in, late-stage mercantilism.
It's like, what do they call that? Cottage industry still.
Efric needs the soap, whether he knows it or not.
This dude needs to be washed. It's also funny because I kind of want to re-explain what a library is supposed to be for an American capitalist audience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
It's you can have a library of not just books. You can just have a community support network. Anyway. I don't know how much soap is worth, Efric said sadly, wistfulness taking over his brash demeanor. I know I need gold. Willett had used up all his barbed loquaciousness in the last 45 seconds and was left only with a blunt slap of a retort. Why? Because I don't want to smell like pig shit anymore, Master Just Willett. I want so much more than that. I was meant for bigger things than just inheriting my mum's pigs and my father's problems. I have aspirations. Willett was now stunned to speechlessness. He saw the barest glint of virtue in this young man, but it was enough to make him rethink Efric in a more charitable light. Yes, I know in my heart I was meant to farm goats. The sky's the limit with goats. Wool, meat, kind of gross cheese. It's a perfect animal.
Dude, baby steps.
But I know I have to hit the goat market now if I want to make a name for myself, and that's why I need gold. The lad was practically in hysterics. He had the look of a bottle of mead stopped up too tight, bursting with angst underexpressed. May I please have some gold? Goats, eh? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. The world needs goats. Willett was annoyed before, nasty even, but now he was getting angry. Angry in a way he didn't expect the lad would understand. Angry in a way he scarcely understood himself. Let's just see what we've got there, Efric, son of Efric, and we'll determine how many goats it's worth. The lad was perplexed by Willett's sudden shift in tone, and he felt pangs of stage fright as he placed the glass jar on the table. Go ahead, Willett urged from the pits of boredom. Efric drew back the muddy scarf, as if it was the curtain of the next act of his life. The librarian stared at the green glass jar full of murky liquid. He squinted. It was too dark for his old eyes to make out what was within. Swamp water, bits of grass, mud. He was already moving to bring a lamp closer when Efric stopped him with a hand. No, Master Willett, that won't be necessary. He lifted and shook the jar gently as one would wake a sleeping child. Just watch, please. As the mud danced up into the water, a shape emerged, lumpy and dark, clinging to the back of the jar. As Efric tried to dislodge it, Willett's eyes grew wide with horror. The jar was glowing. No, the thing in the jar was glowing. A sickly golden light bent by the green glass jar bathed the librarian and the young man with an infernal luminescence. Willett could see it now. It looked like a fat, fleshy leaf as big as a hand with pale skin and tree-like veins of shining gold, leading up to a suggestion of a mouth which gasped dumbly as the worm thing wriggled and waved the eyeless top of its tube body around the jar, still half submerged in the silty mud. The golden light pulsed like a heartbeat as the thing writhed and bumped against the glass. Willett put a hand to his beard and tugged. He said not a word, his brow furrowed as his mind raced. So, it's magic, isn't it? Efric said, gold dancing across his corneas. Is it worth something? He called to Willett, who was already nervously pulling books from shelves and muttering to himself. Willett, Efric called with concern, finally intruding on his optimism. Willett stopped and looked at the young man. Master Willett, what is it? I don't know, Willett said flatly as the glow faded from the bottle. The worm had nestled back into the mud. I don't know.
Don't let it out of the bottle.
Touch it. Poke it with the stick.
Drink it.
Water. See what it does. Yeah.
Feed it after midnight.
Efric availed himself of the soaps. The librarian, nearly obscured by a growing stack of tomes, had pointed him to a rough stone bath next to a dormitory that was empty, it seemed, except for a skinny, aged tabby flopped over on the nearest bed. There was a... Yay! You know I gotta put a cat in it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fantasy story unless there's a cat.
Gotta. There was a pump with fresh water and even a stove for heat with stacked firewood. Efric filled and drained the basin 7 times, scraping himself clean.
Oh my god.
He had grown up with pigs his entire life, and still he could scarcely abide the smell. The charcoal he dusted himself with could hide the sweat of a long day's work, but that didn't help his reputation for being lazy. Efric didn't think he was lazy. He just thought pig farming was hard and smelly.
And stupid.
It's stupid. Not like goats, dude.
Goat coin, that's the future. Get on goat coin.
Gotta start goat mining immediately.
Yeah, mine some goats.
He He dried himself off in the dorms, leaving his shirts and slops to soak. Willett had mentioned he could use any clothes he found in the meantime, but most were of dwarven proportion. He dug up a modest pair of trousers from a scorched but solid wardrobe and found a leather belt that required a few new holes. He pulled a dull gray tunic over his head and gently sniffed. Cedar, raspberries from the slope, pig shit.
Old Spice is off the chain on the pig shit this year.
I feel like I'm giving like wine tasting notes.
Hints of cedar and pig shit. You spit it out.
Yeah. Not because of the pig shit, just because,
You don't get drunk.
It's good manners to spit it out.
Yeah.
Would these clothes and the soap be deducted from his compensation? Would the bath? He needed as much gold as possible if he was going to start a new life. Compensation. The librarian had used a word like that, not pay. Compensation. Eric didn't trust it. He buckled the belt and sat on the dorm beds with the cat, who paid no mind to him. Could the bed be withdrawn from the library too? Could the cat? He put his head out. Yes, they could. He put his hand out for the tabby to sniff. It was as clean as he could get it, but dark rivers of dirt still ran through the lines in his palms. They were just like his mother's hands. As the cat pressed her head into his palm, he could feel the strain of the day catching up to him. The morning's chores, the broken fence, the afternoon of chasing pigs, running all the way from the swamp to Pinewick. He drifted off, trying to remember how high his hopes were when he first saw that golden light in the shallows of the swamp. Efric awoke disoriented, his back touching the strange bed, but his knees were bent with his boots on the dorm floor. The sound of distant arguing was a familiar wake-up call to him, but the voices were new.
Oh, no.
Families.
Yeah.
Efric pulled off his boots, which he lamented he had not done before sleep took him, and he crept back toward the front desk, boots in hand. The sun had not risen yet, and the library lamps were all either guttering or out completely, save for one at the front desk, illuminating two bickering dwarves. There was Willett, massaging his temples, elbows resting on a spread of notes gathered from the library's limited resources. In front of him was Efric's jar, as dull as dirt for the time being, and on the other side was someone Efric had not seen before. She had a voice that was smooth and scolding, but full of fire, unlike Willett's dreary professorial prattle. In fact, despite their shared dwarven stature, in many ways she appeared to be Willett's direct opposite. Her beard was a wild blonde tangle that was bunned up at the end and pinned to a bloody red shawl that draped her shoulders. Efric could not guess her age, but thin lines showed on her face whenever she angled her thick, dark eyebrows in concern. A pole as tall as Efric rested on her shoulder, with a wicked-looking spike and axe head at the top. The axe and the metal guards on her shins both shone in the flickering light, like the moon on the sea. In the pit of his heart, Efric's hopes stirred just a little bit. So Willett was concerned enough to call in a warrior. Maybe his oddity was worth a few goats after all.
This guy's got a one-track goat mind.
Get fucking off the goat, son.
Get real.
If giant spawn are even a question in your head, I need to go out and investigate now, Willett, the warrior said, rapping her knuckles on the desk for attention. Tell me what swamp the lad dredged this out of, and I'll be back by lunch. Willett looked up at his friend and spoke slowly and deliberately. Wrecker, we both know if I send you out there, you won't stop your investigation until you have a giant's head on a spike. I'm trying to determine if there's even anything out there to be found. It could be nothing. Giants.
I don't see a problem with this.
Giants? In the swamp? Goats were practically dancing around Efric's head at the news. He crept closer to the dwarves. I love this piece of shit, farm boy. I wrote him so dumb.
Yeah.
It glows, Will. With magic. Wrecker pushed a few stray hairs from her eyes. This isn't even my Ironfoot paranoia at work, so stop trying to calm me down. It glows, and it's big. There's a giant spawn in that swamp. Let me go kill it. This worm thing is proof enough. Ah, yes, but what is this worm thing? Willett fired back, flicking the jar in frustration. Is it even
tequila?
Just have a sip. Just sip it.
You know you want to drink it.
Is it even a worm? Where should it be living? Saltwater, freshwater? How big is it compared to its fellows? Has the giant spawn begun corrupting the local wildlife, or is it still
science nerd shit?
Are we dealing with one giant spawn or two? More? I've checked the local accounts of fauna in the area with no solid information, and yet no end of sage warnings to stay out of any and all swamps. Give me time, Wrecker. There's only 2 of us, and we don't know enough yet.
I mean, he's right. You shouldn't go to the swamp.
That's why you shouldn't go to New Jersey.
Hey, don't deny the call, you fucking hero's journey motherfucker.
Fucking take up arms.
What? You don't know what a liver fluke is? The dwarves turned. Efric strode out of hiding and stood in the dwindling lamplight, chest puffed out in his borrowed tunic. Willett's headache returned. Wrecker fought back an explosion of laughter that could wake the whole village. Here was a broom-skinny human child in cinched-up hand-me-downs with all the swagger of Gar's tallest chicken. He was exceptional. She finally managed to squeak out a sentence. So this is the lad. I am Efric, Lady Wrecker, he said, stooping low to bow. Wrecker clapped in a way that was both warm and patronizing. The pomp was too much. She almost let her halberd slip from her shoulder. Efric knew he was laying it on thick, but he couldn't help himself. He finally saw an angle to get back on the road to his goats. And now, Willett had to listen to him.
My God. This dude's gonna get some fucking goats, hell or high water, man.
It better be like the fucking, like fucking Elon Musk of goats over here.
You mean terrible at it?
Yeah, a goat fascist.
I was going to say the other Microsoft guy, what's his name? Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He's like kind of good at money.
He could be Bill
Goats.
Bill Gates.
He's so good at goats.
Oh, fuck.
What do you mean it's a fluke? The librarian asked, packing his pipe with fresh leaf. The smoke would have to do in place of rest, it seemed. It's a worm, or some such, Willett snorted with derision, but Wrecker punched him punched his arm and gave Efric the floor once more. The pigs get them on their liver, and it spoils the meat. Mum makes us stop them from eating snails if they're near the swamp. The flukes get in the snails, and the pigs eat the snails, or something. Mum's explained it a few times. I don't know if you've ever tried to stop a pig in the mud from eating snails, but it's no picnic. You seriously didn't know that's a fluke? Wrecker flashed a violently over-pleasant smile at Willett, who was already trying to obscure his scowl with smoke. I might have gotten there, he coughed. Wrecker waved the white smoke back at him. So these flukes are native to the swamp, and they're small enough to fit in a snail, normally. That would make this specimen gigantic, was all Willett said. And they don't usually glow, added Efric. The 2 dwarves exchanged a serious glance. This information was enough to spur them to their next task, dire though it was. At once they both stood. Wrecker began collecting dry goods and water from the pantry. Willett tucked a few thin reference books into a bag and retrieved a large round shield from its resting place above the library's desk. Efric followed Wrecker into the pantry. So you think there's a giant in the swamp? Giant spawn, lad. And yes, I'd say it's likely. Wrecker was attempting to determine the freshness of a hard loaf of brown bread. The dumb bastard's a long way from the sea, but they'll crawl to anywhere that has meat, I suppose. Wrecker stopped in her tracks as the pieces came together in her mind. She looked up sharply at Efric. Have any of your pigs gone missing lately?
Pigs, yeah.
A few, yes, he said, suddenly off his balance.
Oh, fuck.
That's why I was in the swamp. Wrecker bit off the end of the bread and chewed solemnly. Efric could feel the weight of her worries, even if he didn't quite understand their source. What was she about to risk her life because of what he had brought to the library? Was Willett? Why not wait? He blurted out. Wrecker looked up from her breakfast, annoyed. Surely it can't be the library's job to slay giants. Pinewick has a militia, I'm sure. You could rouse them, and Wrecker held up a hand to stop him. Pinewick has a militia of men. Men who are suspicious of or misinformed at best about dwarves, our library, and magic. Her voice was stern, but understanding compared to Willett when he was giving a lecture, though...
Fucking South. This is South Pinewood over here.
Bing, ding, 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 ding. Though there was some sadness in it. The men of Pinewick will not charge into a swamp at first light because a swineherd boy found a big worm that's half proof of a monster. But you will. Yes, young Efric, the warrior said proudly, brushing the crumbs from her beard. We'll go in to get the other half of the proof. For Pinewick. For everyone. Willett rapped lightly on the doorframe with a black walking stick. His pipe remained clenched in his teeth, though the contents had long since become ash. It's time, was all he said. Wrecker followed him out of the library. Efric went as far as the threshold. Dawn was just starting to break, and the early spring breeze was still not free of winter's bite. Willett turned and handed a wax-sealed envelope to Efric, who shivered as he stepped out into the street to take it. The librarian spoke. Efric, son of Efric, I apologize that I cannot properly compensate you now for you and your family's contributions. I should very much like to put parchment to your mother's can of pigs for Pinewick's future agricultural pursuits, but that will have to wait until our duty is addressed.
Don't die, because Efric needs those goats.
This was strange, thought Efric. Willett wasn't making fun of him. Our library sadly lacks the gold and goats at the moment to fulfill your needs.
Then why did I even come here?
No goats? What is this? Communist Russia?
Some kind of book library?
However, we do have a connection that may assist you on your path to your aspirations. A pair of aging goatherds frequent our cellars, and they drink enough of our ale to warrant a favor. They also lack an heir. I've written you a letter of introduction extolling your virtues. It's not gold, but it's not pigs either. Willett shifted his weight as he hiked up the shield strapped to his back. With a nod of farewell to the lad, he and Wrecker turned to leave. It seemed odd to Efric to see so old a man wear a shield like a warrior. You said you weren't sure if this was a problem or not, Efric called out. I might have said that, yes, said the librarian over his shoulder, not breaking his stride. Efric left the threshold and jogged to catch up with the dwarves. So, if you go to the swamp and find out there's a very big problem, I'll have helped you out a lot. Yes, I suppose you will have, added Wrecker before her grumpy companion could speak. Then this letter might not be sufficient compensation for my contribution to your library. What's more,
Ed, you just got free goats.
What's more, if the two of you should disappear into a muddy hole while stomping aimlessly around a swamp you don't know in the wee hours of the morning, I'll have nothing but a bit of parchment from a dead man with some hastily scrawled laurels. That doesn't seem adequate. Willett now wished he had fully packed his pipe before leaving. It could still be nothing, the librarian spat back. We're going to the swamp to see if there's something there, and that's all, he said, looking pointedly at his halberd-carrying friend. Then it'll be a walk in the swamp. But if it's a dangerous adventure, then it would be irresponsible of me not to tag along and protect my investment. I'm going with you. Efric had now outpaced the dwarves and stood directly in front of them. Willett of Many Winters, exasperated, looked over to his traveling companion for support, knowing he'd find none. He knows things we don't, Will, said Wrecker. The three figures walked and chattered with the birds through the sleeping village as the first bursts of light made their way through the mists of Pinewick Forest.
This dude just made us look like fucking garbage on our own show.
That was lovely.
That was amazing.
That was
anyone's
such a
awake,
fucking
if anyone
great
was
story.
awake.
No, I was fucking like my eyes are like wide open. I'm like, I want to know more.
I want to know how the story goes from here.
The highest compliment I can pay you is what I regularly pay to Jeff. If I'm quiet, you know I'm absolutely entranced by this story.
Fucking enraptured by this fucking amazing fantasy.
Your writing is very, very, very good.
Yes, absolutely true. You came on our dick and fart joke show and gave us like a beautiful piece of prose, a genuine fantasy story that had us all enraptured.
I threw a dude who smells exclusively like pig shit in there. I was trying to.
We appreciate that.
I like the concept of people coming on and using the story to sell how they are as a person.
Yes.
I really like that.
Like when you said you were doing something that was entirely your own writing, and even when you said like there weren't that many jokes in it, I got excited because I want people to come on here and show themselves their own writing, what they want.
So awesome to have like just like this restriction of include these two themes, which like we saw the Parasite, the oil on the other hand, like that influenced like a lot of the lighting and the time of day. The turpentine lands. I researched turpentine.
I could when you said that, I could smell it.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, oh my God, I'm like at my grandmother's fucking house, like, and, like oh my God, I could smell like the kerosene lamps.
Yeah. So that was like, those were really good prompts, and like the fact that like, you know, you guys have to write like stuff that reflects your own personalities and your own preferences. Otherwise, you'd go insane. Like,
I don't have to do shit.
Well, also, I will say that like I think we write with our audience in mind. I think like you know, our
maybe
stories
a little too
get
much.
yeah. So I think like it's nice to get a story that is just completely contained.
Yeah, it's not affected by what the audience may expect from the show.
Yeah.
You're just doing what you want to do.
I don't want to say it's a surprise because I'm not surprised Kevin is this good at writing. I know that.
Yeah, and we knew that already.
It's a surprise, like, that I was going to get that today. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, amazing.
Well, that
like,
makes
that's
me feel
what
good.
that's what this should be, right?
The guest spot,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It should be like almost like an advert for the person who comes on the show.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's
they
like a
should
breath
fucking
of
slam dunk over us like Michael Jordan.
it's like it was a breath of fresh air as well, because like we have our 3 types of stories that we're always doing, and you brought something completely different, but like better, I would say.
I remember how liberating it was. Like, we were only doing the second episode of the show, but I did a fantasy story, and I remember being like, "Oh my God, fantasy! I'm going to have so much fun with this." Yeah. And it is just, it can be quite tiring being bound to a genre constantly,
Which is entirely self-imposed.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, it is. But we've got our brand, right?
Yeah. My brand.
It was wonderful, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm thinking about switching genres to goats.
I'm switching genre to Kevin.
I'm
used to getting ass blasted on my own shows, but not like this.
It was so validating to hear you guys laugh at the goat parts, because I'm like, I think this is funny, but I also think the joke might be wearing thin. But you guys laughed, and I was like,
every time you brought it up, I laughed harder.
Have you been around me, Kevin?
Yeah, the jokes never wear thin on this show. They're just beat to the ground.
Yeah, and we resurrect them, and
then kill them again. That was lovely.
Oh,
that was great.
Thank you guys so much for...
Lovely is exactly how I would describe it. It was such a great story. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you to the listeners, too, if any of you are awake.
They will let us know that you are their new favourite. Don't worry.
Yep.
Probably when we're trying to say something nice about ourselves. You are welcome back anytime, my friend.
I'd love to come back and continue.
You bow for no one.
I'll touch a hand to my shoulder and bend my old back slightly.
It took you long enough.
But also, you do have to listen to the rest of the story.
Yeah, you do. Okay, right. So we're going to take, after that masterpiece, we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to part 3. We're gonna change things up. We're gonna put on our comfy shoes. We're gonna find a way to insult me
What
because
comfy shoes?
Your slippers.
CUM, FY.
Oh, yeah, your CUM shoes.
Comfy. Oh.
Yeah.
Squishy.
We're heading over to the Omniverse.
Yay!
My episode this week is called Minor, I Hardly Knew Her.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lee Wen. Find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's what they say, isn't it? What total fucking horse shit. Mm-hmm. Work a job that Daddy bought you with his fucking emerald mine money so that you can buy your own media empire so that people can't say they hate you and become a literal fascist. Maybe it's true then, but work... It's the necessary evil, isn't it? So that we can pay to play. But what happens when your work is the very thing that might cost you everything? Welcome to the Omnizone.
This is scary. I don't like this.
As Billy Jessup...
I don't want to work.
No one does. As Billy Jessup walked into the equipment room on the cruiser orbiting the second moon of Alagos, he tried to fight the oncoming assault of a panic attack with all the inner constitution of a post-sex Kleenex. His recovery had been slow. The coma that he had awakened from, a 6-month rest that had been as peaceful as exploratory rectal surgery with rusty garden shears. He had
Slight tonal change from the last one.
A little bit.
He had been assailed by terrible nightmares, memories of his last crew he couldn't shake. It hadn't taken a lot to come back to this, but it was the only life he was cut out for, and jobs this far out in space were rarer than a J.K. Rowling narrative without casual racism. The quiet Billy went unnoticed as he moved over to his locker amongst the members of the Delta Shift. A naked, violet-skinned Vernax raised his forearms in a way to establish dominance. It worked, not only because his giant alien donger was swinging as he moved, looking like a baby's arm holding an apple. It was intimidating. For Billy, I mean, not for me. I have a giant penis which has nailed more ass than a pin the tail on the donkey champion.
Damn. That's a lot of ass.
It's a real thing, too. Look it up.
Look, all I'm saying is... Sorry, Kevin, did I interrupt you there? Sorry.
No, it's just I'm crying a little bit. That was right.
Looks. Looks, all I'm saying is we keep digging this rock. We're going to poke more holes than after Friday night drinking sessions back at your mama's house. Am I right, Chell? The small insectoid in the jumpsuit next to him nodded, his mandibles chittering as he put down his copy of Playbug.
You know what? I'd like to see it.
Block, 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 block. The Vernax laughed. Yeah, what a slut. A spindly, ram-horned Klarnan stood up from the bench on his cloven hooves. He towered over even the Vernax. My mother died when the Omni bombed Celtis colony, blind, you vapid ingrate. Hey, you're the ingrate, Gallius. Blind flexed his large pecs as he puffed himself up. Ingrateful of my sense of humour. He nudged the woman sitting next to him on the bench and winked. Am I right? Am I right, hot stuff?
Yeah, you're right.
The alien woman, A.K. Santo, didn't even look up, but her hand went instinctively to the knife strapped to her boot. She wore a patch on her jumpsuit from the Blue Raven salvagers, who she had done some work for in the past before realising they were a bunch of looting scumbags. Unless you were admitting you should jam your nutsack in the airlock so we'd all be assured your lineage would end right here, I doubt it. And if you call me hot stuff again, I'll show you just how cold I can get. All right. Put your samurai sword away, AK. Jesus. You got the painters in or something? Nobody's got a sense of humour on this team anymore, huh? Except for old Humie over there. He threw a thumb over at the silver android in the corner. The hyper-automated underground miner unit each team were assigned when they were mining for precious fossil fuels needed to fuel the fight against the Omnis.
Hyper-automated is hyphenated.
Yes, small a.
Yeah.
Although you had so many parts replaced after that mission on Necessary Exposition for Story Length 5, are you even our Humie anymore? Who knows, Blind? I am a regular chip of Theseus.
Oh my god. Well, everybody, it's been a good week. We'll see you next week.
Laugh mode enabled. He let out a chilling approximation of a laugh, which sounded like a car being crushed with a family of 4 is still inside. Billy felt the eyes of the woman on him as he changed behind the open locker door, hoping she wouldn't draw attention to him. Not to interrupt this think tank we have going on here, but who's the creepily quiet new guy? The room went silent, and Billy peeked around the corner of the door to find the rest of Delta Shift staring at him expectantly, and not without a strong hint of displeasure, which coincidentally is Pavlov Flinch's aftershave of choice, with notes of hot garbage and hot pockets.
That's so weird. That is so weird.
Involving the senses. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Just a little cameo from Pavlov Flinch in this story.
Oh, me.
Oh, God, not another human. Blind stuck his hands on his hips, flexing all 4 of his arms to show off his rippling biceps. All's we need's another human in here with their buck teeth and their flat tails, building their dams everywhere.
What the fuck?
Humie put a hand up. I think you are referring to beavers, Mr. Blind. A common misconception. I'm referring to your mama's beaver, Humie. And there was plenty of conception, trust me.
Jesus
Blind elbowed Gallius in the ribs, and he huffed in frustration. Looks, I knows my humans. Scourge of the galaxy they are. Always starting things they can't finish, getting into other people's businesses. They're xenophobic too. If there's one things in this whole galaxy I detest, it's irrational generalised intolerance of others. And that's why I hate all humans and always will.
You must be from the pot called the kettle
Blag, 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 added Shell. And beavers, Blind nodded. Thanks, Shell.
Yeah.
With a raised eyebrow, Gallius stepped forward and placed a hoof on Billy's shoulder. I hate to agree with Blind, ignoramus that he is, but I'm sorry, new fellow. We don't take rookies on Delta Shift. We have all started at the same time, and we're the widest travelled crew in the Coalition. We have methods, routines. Billy took a deep breath and pushed the hand off his shoulder, grabbed his helmet from the locker and placed it on his head. He took the last remaining steps so that he was as close as could be to Gallius and looked them all over. You've also got a 30% return deficient on your last 4 trips. That's why Big Money Corp put me in charge of the shitbird operation.
Damn.
Now, wait a minute, AK said with narrowed eyes. You've got no right. Actually, he has every right, Humie asserted. The star on his jumpsuit indicates that this man is our new supervisor. Grovel mode enabled. May I get you a beverage, sir? Or maybe a back massage? His hands turned into the sort of contraption that your mother would have worn out the batteries on in her average Sex in the City binge session.
Oh my god.
The crew all stood remonstrating, most of them waving their arms around indignant, and Blind doubly so because he had a whole nother set of arms to gesticulate with. They apparently... Stupid fucking joke. They apparently didn't need no bosses or no managers. Billy wasn't that interested in their protests, though. He had a job to do, and it didn't really matter what they thought. He wasn't usually the sort of supervisor that didn't listen to his workers. His family were big believers in St. Luigi Mangione, patron saint of not being a fucking prick to your workers for fear of getting shanked to death.
Praise be.
However, the impulse to just get back on the horse and do his job was almost overwhelming. The therapist bot who was assigned to him, Sigmund Freud, told him...
Oh my god.
Sigmund Freud told him he needed to...
How did we get here?
That's a challenge. That's a challenging one.
Told him he needed to return to previous pattern and to regularly grease his nuts. He had paid a lot of good money for nut greasing, but that had only reduced his feelings of unease temporarily. He needed to get back on the horse and then go back to work full of ketamine. Wait, look at his ID tag. AK rose and pulled at his jumpsuit, where the name tag read Jessup. This is Billy Jessup. I'll see you at the shuttle drill platform in 10 minutes. Billy pulled the clothing out of her hand and marched out of the lockered room, close to blacking out with adrenaline. So what? We gotta go down to the surface with a murderer now? Blind threw his arms up in the air. Gallius looked up from his kit bag he always meticulously packed as the team's climbing expert and tutted. You know as well as I do what happened to Epsilon crew was an accident. He picked a can of peaches from his backpack, opened it, then tipped the peaches on the floor and shoved the can in his mouth.
Goats.
Shell rushed over and smashed his face into the peaches, hoovering them up into his mouth. Blah, 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 he said. I think the 5-second rule only applies to creatures that don't have to vomit on their foods to eat it, Chell. AK laughed.
It is a small story lord's world.
Hume walked down from the ramp where he had been prepping the shuttle drill for its descent to the moon. He wore a pin badge, magnetised to his chassis that read, Cool robots equals cooler futures. The report says that it was a cave-in. I do not think that we can blame Supervisor Jessup for this. Not that I care who you blame. I care little for organic emotional politics as a proud member of the Electronica. Logic rules, emotion drools.
Does he have like a fucking Calvin pissing on logic?
He's a union man. He's definitely a union man.
Yeah.
I think you grossly underestimate Blind's lack of brains, Hume, Gallius tutted, though I suppose he must at least have a brain cell to power each of his appendages, so 6 at least. Blind laughed a hearty laugh. Hey baby, you're forgetting about my massive donger, so 10 at least. I'm a genius. AK was assembling and disassembling one of the drills that they would be using on the surface. She had graffitied the drill assembly so that a message proudly stated, goes deeper than your mama's ass. I think we need to just shut up and give him a chance, don't you? Chell pulled a face and put his forelegs on his hip. He looked pissed. Blah 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 blah. He took a deep breath and pointed at a leg at the drill platform. Blah 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 blah. AK.
How are we not rich?
AK pulled a face, looking up from her work and staring in disbelief at her insectoid friend. What do you mean, no? Can't you give any more elaboration than that? It doesn't matter, a voice came from behind them. Jessup wore a huge backpack that he almost struggled to carry despite his burly miner's physique. We have to go to the moon, now. The drill shuttle ride down to the second moon in the Alagos sector took 6 hours, and most of those were in silence, except for the relentless chittering of Billy's own thoughts and self-reprimands. The crew around him shared jokes and stories and insults, much like all the best teams. Coincidentally, my co-hosts' mothers have had more gentleman callers than a 1950s telephone operator.
Damn, take that, Linda, you fucking sweaty bitch.
He thought of his previous team, of Mags and Mike and Beth and Jim. They were his friends, family in a way that blood was often not. Now all he could hear was their screams of fear. AK came and sat next to him in the seat. She reminded him of Mags, an exterior of steel that belied a sensitive heart. Yes, he might have been a miner, but he read books, okay?
Damn.
What happened?
Fuck you, miners.
What happened, she whispered, not wanting the rest of the crew to overhear. All we heard was that it was a cave-in. Are you okay? He swallowed. He had answered all these questions at the inquiry, had the military debrief him. It was tedious, but through it all, no one had ever asked him how he was coping with it all. I was out of it for a while, but I think I'll be all right. You seem like a good crew, like family. He realised he was blowing the line. He couldn't afford to be friends with them. He needed to be their boss right now. I mean, despite your yield problems, obviously. AK sat straighter, affronted. Dickhead. Look, everyone's having yield problems. Omni's advancing into our collective systems, cutting off our supply lines, annexing the fuel-rich asteroids. We can't even fight the fuckers. Although, to be fair, I used to blame my undone homework on Omnis. It's easy to blame a boogeyman when no one has ever seen them, let alone survived an attack. I did. They were on the surface during the accident. He hadn't even meant to say it. It had just come out. In truth, he could have faced the firing squad over telling them, but gods, it felt good to tell someone. You saw them? AK explained as she stood up, all thought to volume in her voice gone. No one has survived a direct Omni attack ever. The sounds stopped the conversation in the far end of the shuttle drill, and the 4 other crew shuffled quickly into the rear, like 4 dogs when you rustle a bag in a house with cats, dogs or sons with no... When you rustle a bag in a house with cats or dogs or sons with no boundaries and a bottomless pit of a stomach. Sometimes the chocolate isn't yours, Evan, okay? Other people eat chocolate too!
Yeah, Evan. God damn it, Evan. I know you're listening.
He's going to sarcastically call me Papa.
Papa. I mean, Richard.
I said to him the other day, Josh and Jeff think it's weird that you call me Richard. And he said, what else would I call you? Papa? I was like, no, obviously not. And he's just called it me for about a week now.
I'm glad we have a negative effect on his.
Just to put a little asterisk next to what you said, we don't find it weird. We find it hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
You should keep doing it.
You escaped the Omni? Gallius's goat face was white, his little goat beard twitching wildly. It's Zarg shit. Has to be, Blind muttered. They don't let anyone see them. Not no one. I mean, I've seen them, but that's because I'm so cool. But not this dweeb human. Humie's head twisted. Supervisor Jessup, inquiry, what did the Omni look like? Blind bristled. Why didn't you ask me, Humie? Humie turned to Blind, deadpan. I wished for honesty, Mr. Blind. Chell gurgled a series of bubbly laughs, but stopped as AK and Gallius gave them all a stare. Billy was shaking, his face pale as ghost jizz.
How are we not rich?
They were oily, slick, like shadows come to life. They could fool you, tricking you into doing what they wanted, like your darkest fears made manifest. Like when I saw Gallius and his boyfriend going at it on conjugal visit weekend, Blind sneered. I knew goats could climb mountains, but you were climbing that dick, bro. You're just jealous. The only action you get is choosing which of your 4 giant hands to put that baby dick in each night. Gallius snorted. Before putting a cloven hoof on Jessup's shoulder. How did you get away, Jessup? Luck. He shook his head. One of my crew set off some blasting caps and caused a cave-in. They trapped them alive. Unfortunately, all of my friends were lost there too. A derelict hunter found me in hypersleep. Took me a year to get in a position to come back to work. I get these headaches, awful, debilitating headaches. But it's starting.
Join the club, bitch.
But it's starting to get manageable. Well, you've got the best crew in the fleet with you now, and lightning never strikes twice. Blind did his overalls up and winked. You might be our lucky charm, Jesse, or whatever your name is.
What a fucking dickhead.
5 minutes to landing, Humie declared. As everyone rushed to secure their equipment and get their environmental suits on, Billy looked over the crew. Yeah, lucky, he whispered. AK pulled Humie close. Do me a favour, would you, Humie? See what you can find out about Jessup. I just want to make sure we're not walking into something weird here with Mr. PTSD. Humie nodded and put a robotic finger to his vent. The surface of the Alagos moon was dry and desolate, the atmosphere technically breathable but the air unpleasant, essentially smelling like a wet dog's fart.
Oh.
It wasn't toxic or anything. You just didn't want that cauliflower day-old egg stench in your nostrils for too long.
Come on.
It's a real olfactory episode.
The winds were gusting at over 50 miles per hour on the surface, blowing the red sands of the planet into the visors of the team, blocking all vision. Jessup carried his large backpack, the straps biting into his shoulders with the load. Hume took the lead, smugly pretending to breathe deeply and stating that robotics were clearly the most superior species. The rest of them followed cautiously. Delta had never been so far out on the rim before for a drill operation, but the war had driven them further into uncharted territory, and like so many workers deemed low skill, when what people actually mean was jobs that rich people didn't want to do, they just had to suck it up and do it. Hey, Gallius, I think we found that potential honeymoon spot for you and your boyfriend, Blind laughed. Gallius smirked. We were just planning on going to that gay vacation planet we saw you at last year. Hey! I told you that was a mistake. I asked for a vacation where I could get a lot of ass. He shook his head, still mad about his moron of a travel agent. As I've told you before, we're gay, but we have standards, Blind. Blind threw down his pack and stood. Eat me, goat boy. Not in your deepest, closeted, sexually repressed dreams. Jessup rushed to them and pushed the two men apart. Enough, you poster children for pro-choice. Gallius, visibility's bad, but scout ahead, see if you can find any entryway down to the vein we detected from orbit. Blind, you help AK get the equipment loaded up on the mule and get ready to move. Hume, do your sensors pick up anything? Hume was already looking off into the distance beyond them all. I do not think that we will need Gallius. He pointed, and through the dust-laden winds, Jessup followed Hume's robotic finger to a metallic structure not 100 metres in front of them. Jessup gestured to the others to follow, and as they traversed the arid red sands, Billy could feel dread threatening to make his leg buckle. The structure was tall, a four-cornered hollow tower stretching into the sky as fast as visibility would allow. It's an oil derrick, AK said amazed. Hume, I thought we were the first crew this far out. Hume's eyes shone yellow in the red haze. Evidently not. There are clear signs this planetoid, which has no name, so I am henceforth claiming it for Electronica and calling it Humeville, bears evidence of previous mining. Chell came scuttling over from securing the shuttle. He pulled on AK's environmental suit. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck. Blind kicked the dirt as Gallius sighed. What is it? I'm sorry, I don't have the ear for insectoid, Jessup said. AK sat down in the dirt, dejected. He said the shuttle star maps showing the constellations didn't match the Alagos star system we were supposed to be heading to. And that means without knowing where we are, we can't get back again. The crew looked at each other, dejected. Jessup wondered if he was cursed, if this was fate or Final Destination's way of catching up with him. No one's thought about that film in 10 years.
I saw that in the movie theater.
Me too. I never drive behind a truck that's got logs on it.
Yep. Nope. You do not.
Gallius nudged him and pointed towards a tunnel entrance, towards the mine shaft that had been previously dug to harvest the oil they needed. Jessup gave the signal to move in, if only to escape from the elements. They moved as a well-trained unit, even though all hope had been drained from them faster than your mother drains anything with a pulse for $5 and a compliment about how young she looks for a 65-year-old.
Damn, Linda. You even got her age right.
Damn.
What? We're all in our late 30s and early 40s, which means our mothers would be in their 60s statistically. And whores. The passage they climbed down into had been blasted out harder than your mother's passages get blown out for meth money.
You skipped over a few opportunities to do this, so I don't begrudge you for this.
What's this? 2 mama jokes? So near to the end of the story? Well, she's near to the end of her story, so it seems fitting.
Holy shit.
I can't wait to have this conversation with my mom. Like, no, I was on a podcast. You don't have to listen.
Maybe you shouldn't listen to this one.
Delta took their suits off and stared in awe at the scene around them, at the equipment scattered around the central chamber. drill rigs, and exploration gear that had been abandoned as if in the middle of an expedition. Hume suddenly dinged like an easy bake oven timer and went over to AK discreetly. I have downloaded that information you wanted. Blind and Chell started unloading the mule, a small hover platform that they use for short-range transport of equipment, piling it all up into the centre of the room. So what now, boss? I think we need to... Billy touched his temple, winced in pain. I'm sorry. Got a bit of a headache. I think we need to... AK stepped forward, Hume next to her. I think we need to discuss a change in management. Hume, bring up our orders.
Mutiny!
At Billy's confusion, Hume projected a hologram of their mission brief, because he can do that when it's convenient for page count and because I am lazy. The hologram showed the Delta team's mission to mine oil in the Alagos sector. Am I missing something? Gallius asked. This is just our mission. Look at the crew manifest, Hume announced. There is no mention of our friend Billy Jessup. He was never assigned to us. Wait, where's his gear? Gallius asked. Jessup lifted a fist shakily, and Gallius saw a detonator wrapped in his fingers.
What?
Before he could rush at him, Jessup pushed the button. The chamber was filled with dust as an explosion rocked the entry passage, the 6 of them assailed with small rocks and debris. When the dust settled and the crew got to their feet, Chell checked the passageway, but turned back and shook his head. Blind tore through them and pinned Jessup to the wall with his 4 hands. You lied to us! You forced your way onto this team! You probably changed the navcon and got stranded on this planet in this tunnel! Billy stuttered, holding his head. I didn't, I swear. I was told to go on the team. Told by who? AK said, her face in Billy's.
The Omegas!
Why are we here, Jessup?
Omnis.
Billy Jessup looked confused, afraid. He suddenly couldn't remember anything between waking up and finding himself on the cruiser. He knew he was supposed to lead them, but why? His body started convulsing, rebelling against whatever memories he couldn't recall. And as he did, thick, black tendrils of oil started dripping from his nose onto Blind's arm. Blind uttered a disgusted obscenity and dropped Jessup, who vomited black oil onto the floor, more than anyone could have expected to come from his body. The oil started forming into a large blob that moved... What's that word supposed to be? I'm going to say move, because I've just written a word that isn't a word. Slorped. There we go.
Slorped.
Towards Blind. He kicked at it before it was fully formed, and it screamed, a shrill cry that resounded inside their heads like a bell. Then it slithered away, slipping down further into the mine. You'll be mine. Eventually they all succumb to the Omni. It seemed to whisper in their minds. You can succumb to my dick, Blind shouted after it.
Yeah.
Get him.
AK Santo.
Fuck that Armis to death.
AK Santo walked to Jessup and picked him up, lifting him to his feet. He was shaking. Where am I? He muttered, holding his head. What's happened?
Hell.
The poor fellow. Gallius shook his head. I guess we know now why no one's ever seen an Omni. Hume was rummaging through the old equipment they had found, and suddenly stopped. He picked up an old jumpsuit and studied it before throwing it to AK. She turned it over in her hands, thumbing the shoulder insignia on the jumpsuit, which read, Epsilon Team. Jessup took a look at the jumpsuit, then around at his surroundings. His face fell. No, not back here, he muttered, dropping to the floor with his head in his hands. Not back here. And from the dark, an echoing laugh, the laugh of 1,000 voices, came rushing up the tunnel back at them. The end, ?
Oh shit, that was awesome! This is like fucking pitch black. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Damn, Rich, can you write a robot? I love you so much.
You only got a little taste of Hume.
Hume was the best character last season by far.
Hume could have his own show.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's not
living, right?
Yeah, he might. He lived throughout the last season.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is
gonna be fine though.
Which is rare for a story from me.
That is true.
Yeah. Usually Rich kills everything that we love.
He used to be convinced he was a human because he was, right, guys? He
was a human. He was.
But now this version of Hume, this alternate universe version of Hume, is a proud robot.
A robot supremacist, one would say.
yeah, he is.
I would say.
A robot and a colonizer.
That was
Jeff's always whipping that out, though. When I ever saw redheads are better than everybody, he's always like, oh, redheads supremacists, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am quick on the trigger with that.
Prove me wrong, Brownie. I don't know.
Whoa!
Jesus Christ.
Look, we're all honks here.
Yeah.
Because I'm honky.
Because I'm cracker.
Because I'm cracker.
Look, that fucking ruled, Rich. I cannot wait for the follow-up.
That was so cool, man.
There might not be a follow-up for a little while. It might be a whole...
Dance Scrabble's dance.
Scrabble's dance.
Yeah. I just never go back to it.
I'm like jealous of your ability to have it both ways, where you can have a serious story, have these serious turns, but also the Yo Mama jokes just flow.
Yeah.
Like whenever
If you did this every 2 weeks, you would.
Yeah.
You just get used to it, you know?
It becomes a sort of second language, the ability to mix important information with your mom jokes.
I knew Rich was saving him up because he passed over a few choice opportunities, and I was like, man, he's just loading that fucking blunderbuss full of Yo Mama jokes right now.
Yeah, I do normally try and pepper them in the story, but focus on the story more than the jokes.
Dude, just front load it, like continue. Just put them all in the beginning.
Also, I made a note at the beginning, which is, if I ever needed somebody to take me to task to tell me that I had lived a terrible life and that I was a complete fucking loser, I would want it to be Rich Masters.
It just sounds so much better when he says it.
I am very good at it.
I could turn it around. I could turn it around if you were like, listen, I'm going to give you a harsh critique.
Real life true ass facts by Rich Masters.
I'm gonna give you a really harsh critique, and it is going to involve your mom a lot.
But you already knew that, right?
I'd hear him out.
It does sound more authentic as a balm to your soul coming from a British accent.
It just sounds nicer. Whenever I say it, it's like, yo, you're dirt. And everyone's like, yeah, whatever, fucking Philly boy.
Being from Massachusetts, I just long to return to the Empire again.
This makes sense.
This horrible New England.
This horrible New England. Why aren't ye old England?
Slight question for Jeff and Josh, considering you've heard like 4 of these stories now. Have you noticed any commonality apart from the openings?
Well, the Omni.
The Omnis, they're all the characters. I did know. I picked up.
Besides that, no, I'm stupid.
Okay, all right. Then we'll wait. I'll ask that question in another couple of episodes.
I have to pay attention?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Not for another 2 weeks.
All right.
It's weird that I have somehow written another season 1 cast in this one part episode.
It's true.
I've got a cast of people now I want to write a more story about, and I've done it accidentally. But I'm going to resist the urge.
No, just fucking give in. Just give in.
Do what you want to do in living color.
Right. We are 3 parts down, but you're getting another part this week.
So you can't judge this 4th one. You cannot judge this 4th one. It's free. It's extra. You can't say it's bad.
Yeah, you can't go on Discord and pick on Jeff this week for this part 4.
Yeah, only pick on Rich.
I kind of like it. I kind of like being told that I'm bad. You know?
You are a bad boy.
Yeah.
Right. Come straight back. CUM come for
Too late.
for a trip to Spooky Vision. You know you want to.
It's almost time to lock up the house. And then your party will really begin. I wonder how it'll end.
Part 4 is unheard of, apart from that other 2 times that we did part 4. Welcome back. Welcome
There were
back
2?
to Story Lord. It's like we've got a curse.
Oh shit, we are cursed.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that musical interlude from your fellow Lord Vidison.
You get all of them this week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of them.
Lords on lords on lords, man.
Yeah.
Lords on lords on lords.
Lords on Lords, yeah.
And if the first 3 stories weren't terrifying and chilling enough for their jokes and their varied levels of quality, then we're going to take a little trip over to Spooky Vision.
Oh god.
The title of my story this time is He Took the Midnight Train to Hell.
Damn!
by Gladys Knight and the Pips, except evil.
Damn!
You know what? That's the best that song has ever sounded.
Oh, I like that song.
It starts high, it goes low.
The old passenger train rocked to and fro gently as it continued along its way from Washington State to Washington, D.C. The passengers...
Wait.
Wait.
That's confusing.
Let me rewrite my story real quick.
Okay, sorry.
What are you, the audience?
Just training you in 100 times gravity.
Thank you. The passengers shifted here and there amongst the luxury train cars, gawking and rubbernecking at everything they passed like a bunch of fucking yokels. That was the purpose of the train ride, though, so I'm probably being a little harsh on them. The Grand American Express had been around for a very long time. Almost 100 years, in fact, which probably predates the credit card, but don't look it up because I didn't do any research for this story.
That's a good question. I think it most definitely does.
Yeah.
In its long, luxuriant lifespan, it had catered to the rich, the famous, and even to J.K. Rowling once. But she wouldn't stop yanking down the service crew's pants and screaming, "I knew it!" no matter what genitals happened to greet her red, screeching banshee face. So she was asked to never return.
Fuck you, Rowling.
Not to change the subject, but the first credit card was launched in February of 1950, and it was a Diners Club card.
There you go.
On this particular day, on this particular trip, there happened to be a young boy of no more than 11 years old traveling alone on this long haul. A rosy-cheeked lad with Coke bottle lenses taking up most of his face, and a full-on bowl cut in dusty blonde ruffling as he skipped yellow brick road style down the middle of the aisle between the seating, humming a jaunty little tune to himself. One of the ones that played in Looney Tunes because they were free, you know the ones. Oh boy, the lad called out to no one, phlegm machine gunning out of his overbite like a high-end sprinkler system. God, I can't wait to get to our nation's wonderful capital.
God, it's
The train car was mostly empty, only a smattering of people seated here and there, but all of them instantly turned their eyes to stare out the windows at the endless foliage lazily wafting by on their travel. Have to make certain not to make eye contact with this Victorian waif that had escaped his time machine to join them, and have to make themselves seem as busy as possible so he wouldn't force the issue either way. Notice how I said trees were lazily wafting by instead of something you more expected like whizzing by or something else that sounds less like pissing? That was on purpose because they fucking straight up lie to your dumb ass about how fast these stupid ass passenger trains go. I took a train to New York City to visit friends a bunch of times before and during college, and let me tell you on this dark ass secret that Amtrak is keeping tucked up its ass to hide from prying eyes. Those trains travel at a whopping 48 fucking miles per hour. The trip was excruciatingly dull on top of it, since train tracks are built in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. Both sides of the track is trees, rocks, and fields, with once in a blue moon, a town so distant, you feel like you've lost your tether to human society.
Jeff's going through some shit.
And I'm dressing through it.
Amtrak needs to hear this shit, all right?
Yeah.
Speak truth to train power, Jeff.
And
Give us
food?
high-speed rail.
And food? Fuck you and your human desire to ingest, bitch. They ain't got shit on those trains to eat. Not even airline food or some peanuts. Your ass better have packed some bologna on white if you're gonna survive. And mentioning the seats, they're barely bigger than a goddamn airplane, and the train ticket isn't even that much cheaper. Not to mention the fucking... All right, I'm writing a story. I remember. I got it. I'm fine. I'm good.
Back.
Fuck Amtrak. The young lad plopped down in a smaller than you would imagine seat next to an old man who was intensely staring out at the horizon, at the speck of a town across an endless field. The old man turned his soured, wrinkled old shitbag of a face down towards the boy, looking like a close-up, hyper-realistic gross-out drawing in a Ren and Stimpy cartoon, and glowered silently. My name is Gordon G. Gordon, the little lad exclaimed happily,
God.
using his index finger to push up his huge round glasses up on his tiny nose, which happened to be slightly snotty just for good measure.
Kids.
My parents sent me on this trip by myself because I'm becoming a man soon. They said, I don't want to go with them, you go, but then decided I could go on my own to Grandma's house in D.C. It's funny, mister, they never mentioned I had a grandma in D.C., but when Daddy lost his job, he said it was time for me to go live with her. Can you believe it? I think she lives at... The little boy looked down at a scrap of paper he unfolded between his two sticky little hands. He read it over and held it up for the old man to see. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh.
Mommy said to walk right up to the front door and go in. I was expected. She told me not to talk to any men I might see standing in front of the door because they're strangers, even if they pull out guns. The old man continued to glare at him silently, the wrinkles around his eyes and the slope of his forehead threatening to devour his actual eyes in a landslide at any moment. You can call me Gordy. Everybody does. He ran his entire hand and sleeve under his snotty nose, wiping away the disgusting child fluid therein onto it, and then held it out for a handshake with an awkward sniff. Wanna be my best friend? My current best friend is the iguana in Mr. Boring's biology class at school, but he won't mind.
He's open to expanding this relationship.
Even he has got rid of this kid.
Yeah.
The old man leaned a little closer to Gordy and smacked his dry-ass old crusty man lips and growled out a voice from so deep inside of his cavernous, toothless maw, it seemed to take a full minute for it to reach his voice box and turn into words. I'm going to D.C. to be buried. If I wasn't already gonna die, I'd rather do that than be your friend. Slowly, like the burying of the ancient colossus beneath the waves of sand that stretched as far as the eye could see beyond the desert, the old man turned, as if in slow motion, back towards the window silently. A moment further of silence passed as Gordy's eyes shifted awkwardly from one direction to the other, and he fiddled with his thumbs. All right, well, rain check, huh? Gordy hopped up from his seat, took 3 steps down the aisle, and plopped down into a seat just in front of a young girl and what he assumed was her father. He could only see two hands gripping lightly onto either side of the business section of the newspaper and a pair of crossed legs wearing appropriately smart slacks. It seemed like what a dad looked like to him. Not that Josh or I would know.
Yeah.
He popped his head over the back of the seat in front of them and dangled his hands over as he looked down and spoke to them. Hey, my name's Gordon G. Gordon, but you can call me Gordy. I'm named after two guys my dad met in the Army. He said one of them was the one that got away, or my perfect angel, whatever that means. He told me not to tell Mom, but I don't think he'd mind if I told you. The other one was a guy he owed money to, I think. My middle name isn't what you think it is, I bet. The young girl, obviously a little older and far less dweeby than him, looked up from under her eyebrows with a look of genuine disgust that one usually reserves for looking at the toilet bowl after you've had what the experts call a, quote, Code Pennington.
That's what we call it in the WhatsApp.
She looked to her father, or at least his newspaper shield, and then back at Gordy without ever changing expressions. Please go die immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not that good at talking to girls. Would you like to talk about Digimon, maybe? My favorite is Gatomon, because she turns into Angel-Woman, but not because of the reason you think it is. I'm just a really big fan of biblical imagery, Gordy rattled off without taking a breath. Ew, stop talking to me, rat boy, the girl cried out at once, holding up two fingers crossed at him like she was trying to keep a vampire at bay. Except she was the exact age where keeping a vampire at bay was the absolute last thing she'd ever want to do. Specifically 13, but that might vary depending on how into Twilight the particular girl was or is. There, I covered my bases, freakos.
Sure won't be hearing about that anytime soon.
Now, Roxanne, the deep voice behind the newspaper scolded with a soft tut. He didn't bother to move the paper away from his face, though, as he murmured from behind it at her. Be nice to the youngster. You're the only two kids on this whole train, I think. Daddy, he's 2 years away from a Reddit account named Fuck Bitches Get Swole 420 and a $250 a year Loot Crate subscription for Joe Rogan's amphetamines.
Wow, way to fucking call out my Reddit handle on the show, dude.
You can't expect me to debase myself by interacting with him, Roxanne protested, pouting visibly. You worry too much, dear, Roxanne's father said evenly, shuffling the pages in front of his face and turning between them aimlessly. You have nothing to fear from the lad. A cursory glance shows his dick doesn't even work yet. Excuse me? I'll have you know it pees perfectly well, thank you. Gordy protested, shooting up above the seat and puffing his chest out in triumph. Daddy, I'll scream and I'll scream and I'll scream and I'll tell Mommy about the housekeeper, Roxanne interjected angrily, and about her new baby. Sure. Oh, Roxy, my dear, you've no idea the kind of pressure I'm capable of applying after 42 years in the Fortune 500 business, or whatever businessmen actually call it IRL. I would know, though. IRL. Her dad said with a chuckle, and what Gordy assumed with a shake of his head behind the paper. Now run along and play with little Jordan, or whatever he said his name was before. I might decide to tell your mother about your new matchsticks obsession, and what actually happened to little Sasha. What? Roxanne shot up straight in her seat and then leaned forward towards her father, narrowing her eyes and lowering her voice. You said we'd keep that between the two of us. Neither of us even liked Sasha. Off you go, her father returned flatly.
Sasha? Little sister.
So, does that mean we get to play? Gordy asked expectantly, slipping out of the seat in front of the father and daughter to stand in the aisle
this kid's gonna fuck this episode.
With a huge smile plastered across his greasy little face. Let's just go. Maybe I was wrong to judge a book by its cover, Roxanne said without much heart behind it, standing up from her seat and dusting off her sweater and jeans as if she just had a nature hike in them, fastidious with each bit. Nito Spadito, Gordy cried out, grabbing her by the hand and yanking her down the aisle towards the door at the end of the passenger car. We can go try and find some snacks. I hope they have warm tapioca pudding, my favorite. Speaking of warm tapioca pudding, tell your mom I said next time she doesn't have to cook me dinner after. She doesn't use any fucking spices anyway, which is ironic considering how spicy that old bitch gets in bed.
Damn.
Roxanne's father chuckled behind his newspaper softly and then turned the page with another rustling shuffle. They'll be fine. He then chuckled again, shaking his head. That Marmaduke, when will he learn?
This dad is very close to your Dracula voice. I'm just going to say, I'm convinced this dad is Dracula, even if it's not.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is the dining car, Gordy said with the type of wonder in his voice exclusively reserved for children in 1950s Christmas movies. I wonder what sweet treats they have in store for us. Sweet treat? What the fuck are you talking like that for? Roxanne said with acid dripping from her voice. You're like playing a character or something, like Leave It to Beaver, but a eunuch.
Leave
it to no beaver.
That's really bad language, you know, Gordy said in a hushed voice, his hands over his mouth. He looked around the room to see if anyone had overheard it, but the dining car was completely empty. Dinner wasn't going to be for another 2.5 hours at this point, so everyone was just taking in the sights, such as they were. Refer to page 1 for that.
Let's not rehash that again.
Wait, are you not fucking around? Roxanne said with a squint of her eyes and a wrinkle of her nose. She scratched the side of her head for a moment and then went wide-eyed. Oh man, you got dropped on your head as a kid, didn't you?
Yep.
Why, is that bad? Gordy asked with a blank expression, as if his memory was rebooting at the moment. 'Cause if it's bad, then no. Oh crap. Roxanne looked around to see if anyone had seen her be mean to a kid with a dented-in head. But again, no one was in the dining car yet, so she breathed a heavy sigh of relief. I'm sorry, Jordy. I can't be seen being mean to the less fortunate, or else I'll never make prom queen in 4 years. I'm running on a platform of tolerance and togetherness, so don't fucking tell anyone you know me, okay?
Tell that to Sasha.
You don't run on a platform for prom queen, Gordy said while scratching the back of his head in thought.
You make out with the cheerleader and she rigs it for you. Everybody knows that.
Shows what you know, Roxanne said with a gross, mean snort. She shook her head and forced herself to pat Gordy on the shoulder reassuringly. Don't sweat it, though. I'll hang out with you and get so many points from the voters for my bleeding heart. If I'll give the time of day to a kissless nerd like you, I must be a full-on saint. Just like Mother Ibiza. Hey, I've been kissed before.
Mother Ibiza?
I've been kissed before. I'm pretty sure my mom kissed me at least once, Gordy said defensively, crossing his arms like a kid who'd seen many a cartoon character do it. That is to say, way over dramatically with a big huff at the end. Yikes, Roxanne said. She turned her eyes to the end of the dining car, to the solid windowless door at the other end, and then pointed it out to the younger boy. Hey, let's actually do something that someone might be construed as fun. That door says no entry, kitchen staff only. Let's sneak in there and raid the fridge for something to snack on, like you said. Oh, cool, a sneaking mission, like Solid Snake, Gordy cried out excitedly. Is Solid Snake a euphemism for hard boner? Roxanne glared at him defensively. It's from Metal Gear Solid, Gordy responded with a huge grin. Not really clearing up the whole is it a boner thing or not, Roxanne said with squinted, judging eyes. But Gordy was already crouched down low to the ground and sneaking down the middle of the aisle, shuffling from one set of seats to the next with a quick turn of his shoulders as if he were on a covert mission on Shadow Moses itself. Bandana flowing in the snowy wind. And maybe Sniper Wolf would do that unzipping thing in this imaginary sequence too, he hoped.
Yep.
Roxanne shrugged and followed along in a normal slow walk, hands shoved in the pockets of her jeans. Beyond the door was a small metallic walkway between cars, and thankfully the door beyond it did actually have the glass window in it that most other doors on the train did, so they could peek ahead before just barging in. Gordy climbed up onto a small metallic bar that was sticking out of the wall on either side of the door near his feet, and precariously pressed his body against the cold steel wall so he could, on his tippy toes, so he could see into the small window into the next car. Roxanne just had to stand on her tippy toes to see in, no bar necessary, being a few inches taller than the younger boy. They both peered into the darkness beyond the window, trying to make out any shapes in the dim light within. Both of the kids felt a sudden sense of unease in the pit of their stomachs in that moment, both wondering why the kitchen car was so dark compared to the rest of the train. There was definitely some kind of extremely weak light in there, but adjusting their eyes to it was taking a very long time.
It's that thing in a jar from Kevin's store.
Yeah. I stole it just now when I read it earlier.
Oh my god, that's the franchisable characters? The worm in the jar?
Worm in a jar.
Yeah, and then we can sell tequila.
We're going to sell worm in a jar action figures.
God damn it.
What the hell is that? Roxanne asked in a hissing whisper, having seen something in the dark that Gordy couldn't make out yet. The young boy narrowed his eyes as tightly as he could to try and catch up. Thunk. 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 Gordy almost fell off of his wobbly perch at the sudden loud thudding sound of metal slamming into wood coming from inside the cart, but managed to keep his grip on the wall enough to steady himself. The darkness had given way in his vision to be able to see a man in a white chef's coat and black trousers standing with his back to the door, drawing up a massive silver cleaver into the air and then slamming it back down onto a huge cutting board in front of him over and over, steadily, rhythmically. "Oh, it's just the chef," Gordy said with a soft sigh, his rising fear beginning to subside a little at the realization. "No, you idiot! What is he cutting? Look in front of him!" Roxanne cried out in another hushed whisper, her voice squeaking from the strain. She placed her hand over her mouth at once. "Please tell me that's something else. Anything else." Gordy tried his hardest to see through the shifting haze of black and red beyond the window, over the shoulder, past the elbow of the carving chef at his table. There was a long, cylindrical piece of pinkish tan meat in front of him, and he was driving the wedged butcher knife down into one end of it over and over, causing a thick circle of meat to spiral off the bone in the center to land in the cutting board with every strike. His eyes followed from that end down to the other slowly, finding that at the other end of this cylinder of meat, 5 fingers dangled limply in the pool of blood that rose up around them.
What?
Gordy slapped his hand over his mouth to stop himself from screaming, his eyes wide and his entire body shaking from the sudden realization of what was being served to them on the trip. In that moment of terror, he couldn't help but somewhere beyond it be very, very thankful he had found this out on the first day of the journey before he'd had any lunch. There, you can stop thinking about whether he's eating this or not and enjoy the rest of the story. You're welcome.
Maybe it was good.
My God, there, Gordy hissed out under his breath. The chef in the next car reached over and picked up the salt and began to salt the human flesh before him, the perfect circles of horrid, unmentionable meat he had concocted, and then returned the salt to the other side of the table. His hand bumped the bottle of olive oil there and instantly recoiled away from it, his entire body yanking away all at once in revulsion. What? With one quick movement, he snatched up the olive oil container and heaved it against the back wall, the thick glass not breaking as it bounced off the wood paneling and landed with a thud somewhere behind the open crates filled with fruits.
This guy hates olive oil.
Clink! The metal beneath Gordy's foot instantly gave way, breaking off at the wall and causing him to almost fall from his perch entirely, but his grip on the railing beside the door kept him from completely shifting and falling to the floor. He let out a slight yelp before catching himself. He pressed himself against the wall where he had climbed and breathed hard, his chest raising and falling in time, his heart pounding like a piston against his rib cage. A moment passed. Silence. Another. And another. And he heard no sound. Ever so slowly, he turned to peer back into the darkness of the car.
No.
And found himself face to face with the chef, whose dim, deep-set eyes stared at him with no recognition behind them, save the glint of light being reflected from the center like a cat's eye at midnight. Gordy stood transfixed, his entire body shaking violently, but no muscle in it allowing him to move. He screamed in his head for any part of him to just go, but he stared instead. The chef took 4 or 5 steps backwards away from the door and slowly began to unbutton his jacket.
Uh-oh, I didn't know it was this kind of story. This is fucked up.
The sudden and completely fucking weird-ass stranger danger type situation that was unfolding when he thought he was about to get cooked and eaten like Hansel and Gretel suddenly shocked Gordy back into the real world, and he leapt down from his perch and turned to tell Roxanne that they had to run, and now. But Roxanne had run like 2 pages ago because she wasn't a fucking kissless idiot. There was basically a Roxanne-shaped hole in the door behind them because she'd gotten the fuck out of there so fast. Gordy decided it was time to follow suit. He ran as fast as he could back through the door, across the 2 empty train cars that had taken them to get there, and back into the car where he had met Roxanne. The old curmudgeon on his deathbed was still glaring out the window next to his seat. Roxanne's father was still seated reading his newspaper, but Roxanne was nowhere in sight. "Hey, Mr. Roxanne, sir?" Gordy breathlessly cried out, not used to having to run for anything except the car when his parents were leaving stores they'd taken him to. "Where's Roxanne? We saw. "Oh, I've already heard her little tale, Geordie, so you could put a sock in it. We aren't going home. I have a business meeting in D.C. to buy stock in a little company called Mr. Beast."
He's a villain!
So you bet your ass I'm going to finish this trip. His dead eyes and soulless chocolate business are worth billions, Roxanne's dad cried out, never putting the paper down. At this point, he was like a cow and chicken gag of an adult, and I don't feel like fleshing him out anymore, so Gordy gave up on this avenue and decided to keep going down the aisle to see if he could spot Roxanne.
He's Dracula!
He could be.
Roxanne! Gordy cried out until he finally caught...
I was thinking that, fuck you!
Until he finally caught sight of her pressed against the wall in the floor between the last seats of the train car and the back door. She had her knees pressed up against her chest and her arms wrapped around them, staring straight ahead with that 1,000-yard stare that you only usually see on Rich Master's face after a weekend of taking care of Evan by himself. "Roxanne, we gotta get everybody off this train. We gotta tell the conductor," Gordy cried out, waving his arms like a madman. Roxanne looked up at him with wide, unblinking eyes. "Did you get dropped on your head again since the last time I saw you? This isn't the kind of thing you can hide from the crew of the train. There's a goddamn glowy-eyed cannibal monster cutting somebody up in the kitchen, and you think the conductor is just Shining Time stationing up a new song for Thomas and the gang, completely fucking oblivious? Do you think the conductor is Ringo Starr or George Carlin in this one?" George Carlin scares me a little, Gordy said, preoccupied. "I'm gonna die on this train, and the last person I'll have hung out with is White Steve Urkel," Roxanne mumbled to herself, beginning to rock back and forth in her upright fetal position. Wait! Gordy exclaimed, throwing up a single finger before placing it on his chin in thought. "Right before you ran away, the cannibal chef actually tried to pick up the olive oil, but he was terrified of it. He recoiled away. He even threw it out of his sight in fear. That must be their weakness." "Well, I did see that." Roxanne looked up, her eyes wide and her mouth drooping slightly. "But no one's weakness is olive oil, man. This isn't a comic book. You can't just whip out a crystal and suddenly the bad guy's dead." "We have to try. All these people are gonna die if we don't," Gordy said overdramatically, standing up and placing his hands on his hips in a dramatic pose, though his curved spine was making it pretty hard to do. "Yeah, you go right ahead. I'll be along later," Roxanne said with tears welling in her eyes, placing her face back down on her knees and beginning to rock back and forth. "Homecoming queen. Married at 18. A family by 20. 3 kids. Best manicured lawn award. NFL quarterback husband. Basketball player side piece."
Got her priorities straight.
Gordy stared at her with a concerned look on his face for a moment before shaking his head and steeling his nerves. "Don't worry, Roxanne. Your statistically unlikely but unbelievably basic dreams still have a very small chance of coming true. I'm gonna save us." Gordy took his time this time around, crossing between cars and making certain no one was waiting for him in any of them. He slunk around like Solid Snake would be proud of him, doing combat rolls and tummy crawls when necessary, and even ducking between seats when he thought he heard someone coming. But no one ever showed up. Before he knew it, he was back at that junction between the dining car and the kitchen, and peered into the darkness beyond. All he saw, even after waiting a full 5 minutes for his eyes to adjust to the blackness, was an empty kitchen, cleaned spotless from the human viscera that must have been there before. He tried not to feel horrifically sick at the thought, but he mostly always felt at least a little nauseous. It's just who he was.
Yeah.
He slid the door open as quietly as he could and slunk inside the dead quiet darkness of the room. He pressed himself down on the floor on all fours and began to crawl across it, keeping himself as low and quiet as he could manage. Slowly but surely, he made it to the other side of the room on the cold metallic floor and found himself face to face with the crates of fruit he had seen through the door a short while earlier. He had seen the horror monster chef chuck the glass container of olive oil behind these exact crates, so he made quick work of crawling over them and beginning to feel around behind for the bottle. His hand jutted to and fro in that small space behind the boxes, searching to find purchase, but finding nothing but cobwebs and dirt. Thud, 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 the sound of heavy footsteps, boots hitting metal rang out in his ears like an alarm klaxon, and every alarm in his own mind followed suit. He frantically felt around behind the boxes, desperately as the footsteps came closer and closer and closer. Clink, the sound of his fingernails hitting glass. Whoosh, the sound of old gas lights igniting, and the entire room being flooded with orangish light. He came back? An unfamiliar voice filtered into Gordy's ears, and he spun around, hand behind his back, to find himself face to face with the conductor, who looked down at him with pure confusion, and to be real, a decent amount of pity. The middle-aged man looked completely normal, save for his stupid-ass old-timey handlebar mustache that you just have to know he grew without any input from anyone at his job so as to better fit the quote-unquote aesthetic. But he's not so great at growing
mustache people for you.
But he's not so great at growing facial hair, so it definitely didn't work. I guess so, the chef said, looking a lot more normal in the light as well. He was tall and bald, with a sloped forehead and deep-set eyes. He grimaced with a heavy underbite and shared a look with the conductor that Gordy didn't quite recognize. "What the hell are you doing here, kid?" I, Gordy thought for a moment. Perhaps a smarter, more world-wise child would realize that maybe he would have an out here if he simply lied and said he hadn't seen anything through the door, and that he had come back to apologize for trying to spy before. Perhaps anything would have been better than what Gordy actually said in that moment. "I saw you cutting up the guy's arm and making food out of it, and now I'm going to turn you over to the police. No monsters allowed on Earth on my watch. Surrender now. I have your weakness."
Citizen's arrest.
The two men exchanged glances, and the conductor sighed a heaving sigh. He turned and walked over to the door the two of them must have entered from, the opposite that Gordy had come in from, and inserted a key into its latch, turning it and causing a red light to come on top of it over the wall. The light had black letters reading "locked" on them, now illuminated. The opposite door also let out a heavy thudding clink, and the red light above it burned to life with the same word emblazoned across it. "You should have said you ain't seen nothing, dipshit," the chef said ruefully. He then began to unbutton his chef's jacket, just as he had been doing earlier when Gordy had fucking booked it because of how weird the situation was getting. This was, of course, no different. But Gordy took a different tack this time, yanking up the bottle of olive oil, twisting the top spout off of it violently, and then swinging it repeatedly at the chef over and over, screaming a primal, high-pitched little boy battle cry the entire time. "Die, monster! Die, die, die! Go to hell! Go to hell!" Gordy screamed at the top of his lungs, swinging olive oil like a rapper with Cristal in a 2000s-era music video. When he opened his eyes, the chef was standing in front of him, drenched in olive oil with his shirt hanging open. He had a massive gash up the middle of his torso with gigantic metal sutures stapled into it, holding it together. He also had a look of utter confusion on his face, which was shared with the conductor, who was standing across the room with his hands held in the air questioningly. Why the fuck did you do that? The chef cried out, genuinely confused. He looked at the conductor, who intensified his already very intense shrug back at him, shaking his head in disbelief. Gordy began, falling over his words in a combination of mounting fear and intense embarrassment. You threw the olive oil away. It was like you were revulsed by it. So, I figured it was like your weakness. All monsters have a weakness. It made sense.
Yep.
I almost don't even want to kill and eat him anymore, the chef said dejectedly, a hint of genuine depression in his voice. I just don't like using olive oil. It makes the food too fatty. I'm a health-conscious cannibal. I get it, but he can't tell anyone what he's seen here. I'll go get the girl, you take care of this one. I'll figure out which of the other passengers need it. The conductor said, all business, as he adjusted his tie and walked to the back of the car. He stopped and turned back, dangling his keys from a line to his waistcoat for a moment and jingling him in place. You better do it before I go. I don't want his voice carrying. But please, I know. I won't tell anyone, I promise. I don't have anyone to tell, My grandma wouldn't believe me. She's too busy keeping that dastardly Bill Clinton in line, Gordy cried out, the reality of his situation suddenly setting in. But the reality of his situation had actually eluded him. No one in his position could have ever truly guessed. But it became a bit more clear when the sutures holding the massive wound on the chef's chest together began to distend outward and groan against the force being pushed into them. The gash that vivisected the body began to wriggle and separate, a strange purple glue slowly seeping out of it like thick oil bubbling to the surface of a dig. A high-pitched chittering slowly filtered into the room, echoing off the metallic walls and driving the fear in Gordy to a fever pitch. The sutures failed, ripped apart at the seams, and fell to the floor with concerted thuds, one after the other. The widening gash in the middle of the chef's torso began to split completely open, being tossed aside like two doors of flesh and bone to make way for the dark, shuddering shape inside of it. Legs, long and segmented, jointed all wrong, all backward, all insectoid, jutted out into the light, wet hair along them sticking to the dark carapace below. One by one, until all 8 had been pushed through the flesh hole they came, and then violently spasmed around, searching for purchase in the open air. Purple goo began to puddle on the floor in front of the human body the parasite had taken refuge in, which convulsed with a jittering, inhuman cadence. The legs finally touched onto the outside of the chef's body and rose from within. It had a massive black core, hair-covered, with segmented eyes that reached from the front of it all along its head and back, even down its side, rolling in their sockets, each one with a near-human burst pupil focusing on Gordy alone. And its front, and at its front, at least what Gordy could make out of its anatomy to be the front, housed a massive human mouth with 2 rows of gigantic yellow teeth straining against yellowed gums and a twisting, retching human tongue, split at its end into 2 tips, swirling in the air as it exhaled a caustic yellow breath into the world outside of its human corpse den. Gordy screamed. Like he had never screamed before in his entire life, he screamed. His voice filled up the room to bursting, but the conductor only watched with a wide-eyed glee at it all unfolding. Not a single reaction to the unfathomable terror of a child. The thing drew itself back, and skittering, screeching in a voice made of 1,000 depths, leapt upon Gordy. Ah! Gordy screamed, shooting up straight in bed and throwing off his Digimon sheets from the side. He huffed and puffed softly, looking around his room to find nothing amiss. He was at home. His parents were fighting downstairs loud enough for him to hear it. He was wearing his underdog underoos. Everything was perfectly normal. Oh, God. The whole spooky vision was a dream sequence? What a massive ripoff, he yelled into the pitch blackness of his room after calming down. I guess I should have known when a girl talked to me, though. That's right. The whole thing was a dream sequence and none of this shit mattered. Or did it? The end. Or is it?
No.
The end.
Okay. So Jeff.
Yes.
Oh, fucking shit.
I'm impressed by the way you use the Yo Mama jokes to create an aura of safety that you then
Yes.
completely shatter with Cricket Man.
Yeah.
Well, Cricket Man is an actual character from last season. And the season before, Josh was just making a funny.
He's a spider. This guy's a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
This is
Arachno
Spider-Man
Man.
TM.
Yeah, do not steal.
But yeah, like your horror
Yeah, he
stuff
does this.
hits so hard.
He does this. He fucks me.
I make you feel safe and then I destroy it. That's my MO.
He's so good at fucking like making a character whose life is already garbage and making it somehow worse. For like, I feel so bad for these fucking losers that he writes.
It's like I'm pulling.
It's hell, dude.
It's like I'm pulling from personal experience or something.
What do you guys mean? Gordy was cool.
You guys don't like Digimon?
He's
What are you saying?
He's just based on. Obviously, he's based on me. He looks exactly like.
I'm gonna say that Jeff writes the most irritatingly, annoyingly cute characters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to like them.
I know.
I don't hate them in a way, but I do love them as well.
Yep.
I both love and hate him.
If there's anything that's going to be on my gravestone, that'll be it right there.
I both loved and hated him.
Also, Jeff gives you a aura of safety and then destroys it. Line up, ladies.
Good thing I'm already married. Put that in my fucking Tinder Bumble bio.
I also thought it was funny how we kind of hit on several of the same sensations.
Yeah, that happens.
Like
Yep.
There's always a weird synergy that happens between at least two stories.
Yeah, like you had the clicking glass thing, and I did that, and even a lot of the interactions with Gordon, I was like, this reminds me of just the Willett Efric dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck you, young child.
That's a real dynamic in my stories, is character who wishes they were anywhere else and horrific, annoying fucker interact.
And bestial, horrific Resident Evil transformations.
Yeah, there
This
is a
one
lot
was
of that.
the worst one, meaning the best one. I think I was actually not enjoying that. Usually I can separate my fucking shit. I can be okay,
Well,
that's cool, but
partway
this
through
time I
last
did
season,
not.
I think I said something about this, that I've started putting my own fears into these stories.
maybe I felt that
things that I actually am freaked out by.
It also helped, and Jeff planned this, that my room is completely dark now as the sun
Yes.
is.
Yes.
I did that. I turned the sun off for you.
Super smart.
I was convinced that you were going to do a false end, and when he lifted his shirt up, he had a wound across his chest.
No,
Or
no.
Michael Jackson was going to turn around and he was going to have spider eyes. At the end of Thriller.
And 10
I
cent
get you, I
Price
get you.
starts laughing.
Excellent.
Because he sure fucked me.
Excellent stories all round, folks.
Thank you,
So
thank
good.
you.
With that, we're going to close the cover on this week's stories. We're going to bring out the prompt generator. I can't remember what we're calling
Bye,
it.
everybody. Gordy here. Bye.
Whoa, fan favorite Gordy's here, guys.
Fan favorite Gordy.
Oh, the
Fan
first
favorite
prompt,
already.
the first prompt is Gordy's. So, the first prompt is... Come on, stop. Fortresses by Eric.
Fortresses.
This is going to work better for two of us than it is three of us.
And then the second prompt is Spelunking by Weirdman.
We didn't have this one before.
3214.
That does sound familiar.
We didn't have Spelunking?
I don't think we
Sounds-
did we?
Sounds like you're setting up a Yo Mama situation.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of your mama's spelunking hole in this one.
No, we haven't had Spelunking. We had peaches and
Cave
trophies.
diving.
We had frogs. That was the one.
Princesses and disasters.
Yeah.
Long lost siblings and diners. And
You don't have to
time
go through the whole
adventures.
list, right?
That's this season. Anyway.
Bye-bye. I don't know.
So fortresses and spelunking. Maybe I will do that second part of that episode next week. Then.
That would be really good for you, actually.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's get my page up because I haven't done this for a while.
Get your reading glasses on, Pop.
So, if you heard those prompts and you thought they are good, but I can do better because I'm a prompt king, then head over to patreon.com/story.
Prompt king.
Prompt king and queen.
Patreon.
That's what we should do. Is every year give out an award for prompt king and queen.
Oh my god, that's brilliant.
And it's literally just it's like first place and second place.
Yeah.
Prompt
The
king
queen
and
is
queen.
the first place.
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, if you want to confuse the patriarchy, I mean...
the Patreonarchy.
Oh. So if you think you can do better, if you think you're with a shot of becoming Patreon prompt king and queen, then head over to patreon.com/storylords, and for as little as $5 a month you can support the podcast. You get access to our Discord, you get to read the stories on the website. For $10 you get access to that and the Psycasts. We occasionally do one called Afterlords, which is just us recording ourselves in the after show. We do one called Redesigned by Committee, where we take an existing IP and make it better. And then we do one... what else have we done? Oh,
Masterpiece Theatre.
Masterpieces Theatre, which is also
Masterpiece.
which is Masterpiece Theatre, which is
it's your own last name, dude.
Yeah, I know, whatever. Which is an M-Class joint, which we do for M-Class podcast patrons and Storylords patrons, where I read my Star Trek fan fiction because I am a hunk of a man.
I think you're already married because those bitches would be fucking flooding your doorstep.
Pushing them
Crash Bumble.
How many underwears have you gotten for this?
Whoa.
For $15 a month, you get our underwear in return. No, you don't. You get a creator credit in the eventual book that will come out, and some other stuff. You get special dispensation and a PDF of that book as well. Now, Storylords is also on YouTube. There is an upload once a week. The glorious, handsome person John Anderson does that for us. If you head over to YouTube and search Storylords, you can listen to the episodes again, because I know that's some people's preferred way to listen to podcasts. But it also helps the show. Please comment. Listen to the episode all the way through, please. Comment and like and subscribe and all that nonsense. If you want to find anything else out about Storylords, you can head over to storylords.page or storylords.card.co for all your Storylords related news. Kevin, where can our audience find out about the glory that is Kevin Cole?
Hello, I'm Kevin. I've been the fourth voice talking on this one. Rich set me up for glory, and
you fail.
Allie, oops, daisy.
You get this. I'm online. How could I not be? I make video games primarily. You can find those at supertry.itch.io or Supertry Studios. Supertry spelt like super, and try spelt like TRY. Almost all my video games are free. I've got some good ones. I've got one called Blink Blanc, where you play a cat who has to escape the basement with boxes. I made one called Wizard Laws Are Made to Be Broken, where you fly in the face of laws that wizards have to follow as a wizard.
I myself have done that many times.
Reese sees the wise, everybody. He's here.
Okay, back to jerking off in the cave.
Reese's, thank you.
Wizard Laws Are Meant to Be Broken is both incredibly fun
awesome.
and also like one of the fucking smartest ideas for a game I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. And I also have a TTRPG. If you like tabletop games, it's called Space Kings. You can find that at spacekings.space. I made it with my friends. Did a podcast on it with Josh called Pretend Friends. That's also really good. You should check that out. I'm a host for the podcast Goosebuds, and I edit it. You can check out Goosebuds by typing that into a search box. Right now, I'm working on two really big projects. I'm working on a big platforming game called Bazooka Panic, and I'm working on Stone Song, which is the universe in which my story came from today.
Oh man, I'm so fucking
horned up for
Stone Song. I'm gonna buy fucking sex copies of that shit.
Sex copies.
Sex copies.
My sex copies of that shit, bitch. I got sex on my brain.
I am really excited to work on Stone Song. Double E now. Like, writing fiction for it just kind of unlocks something in my brain.
Yeah,
Oh, hell
right?
yeah, that's awesome.
Like, this, I think I have some ideas on how to move forward with it
If
now.
you need a wizard, I'm
Oh
available.
no.
Put him in there. Let him go.
Let him cook, as they say.
Where can
I would love
people support you financially, Kevin?
Thank you, Rich. That was a really good question to ask.
That's why we don't fire him.
You can find that on my Patreon, which you can find at givekevinmoney.com. That is a URL that will take you to my Patreon, givekevinmoney.com.
Sorry, Kevin, I didn't hear that quite well. Could you repeat that URL for me?
One more time.
givekevinmoney.com.
Excellent.
Is the URL.
If you liked having Kevin on as much as we did, then let us know, and we'll get him on sooner. If that's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, he can replace one of us. So occasionally, he could be on the bench,
Bye,
ready
everybody.
in case one of us
Bye.
needs a week.
I'm leaving. Kevin's replacing
bye,
me.
Jeff.
Bye.
Here
Jeff,
comes the new Jeff.
Jeff, do we have any reviews on iTunes this
No.
week? Do you know?
No.
Okay. And
I mean, I could check the Canadian one. There are our neighbors to the
no.
north.
Let's leave it. Well, I think
No.
we were gonna have a look at other Patreons, weren't we? And then we forgot before Christmas. But we'll do that next time. We'll have a look at patreon.fr or something like that and see if we've got any French.
Oh, we have one from December 30th on the Canada reviews. It's from Esoteric One, and it's it's labeled as beautiful as the day I lost it. I loved the fantasy fiction podcast and listened religiously back. How many years ago did it start? 11. Back then, I was but a lad of 18. Anyway, I had no idea a new iteration of the show had started until Kevin mentioned it on Goosebuds. I binged every episode over December and have been loving every minute of it. Jeff
yeah.
and Rich are great new additions, and I'm a big fan of Frankenstein P.I. Oh, thank you so much. I love that guy.
Sorry, calling you guys new additions is very funny because we've been doing this for like several years at this point.
It's new to me, damn it. But to be honest, I was drawn in by the promise of more of Josh's Darino stories. It was such a nostalgia trip hearing Josh open up a story with a Merc monk coming out of its tree home. Thank you so much for these stories, guys, and keep up the good work. 5 stars.
Hey!
Yay.
Go Canada!
It better have been fucking 5 stars after that write-up.
Damn, dude! You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to look like you're humble, bitch.
I'm not fucking humble.
Did we read this one from Pizza Papa?
That's
Yeah, we
John
did.
Anderson. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, John Anderson. He gave us a 5 stars, but old Canada, what a good show.
Oh, Canada.
You know what? Let's shout out some of our patrons.
Yes, please.
Shout out to Squid Ludwig, who has now become the second patron of the Little Dwarf Kid from Rich's Story Fund, alongside Henry Roselar. Squid Ludwig and Henry Roselar,
Two king of patrons.
the 2 kings of patrons. Also, big shout outs to Anthony Stoker, Federico Rodriguez, Granola Daniels, Heath Robinson, John Anderson, Pez King, Rena Kemp, Sean Tabor, Stephen Ace Wizard, Alkestra, Austin Logan, Ben Simpkins, and so on and so forth. I'll pick one of the pen pals here to shout out as well. Let's shout out Briar Huff.
That's a great
That's
name.
a great name. Did I just steal that name?
Yoink.
Briar Huff. Thank you.
That's a great name.
I like that name a lot as well. That does sound like a Daranos name.
Instead of drinking like mead, he just huffs glue.
Thank you for doing that, Jeff, and thank you to all of the patrons.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being patrons, sticking with us, keeping the boat afloat. We appreciate the hell out of all of you.
Boat afloat.
Well, since tomorrow I am resigning from my job, it is very much appreciated.
Oh, congrats, dude.
Exclusive.
Really resigning if they have security escort you out.
They don't even know it's coming.
Oh, fuck that bitch.
rules.
Get fucked, jobs.
So, on that note, we want to also do a big thanks to Vidazen, who does the music. You were treated this episode. You got 3 pieces of Vidazen music in your episode in the breaks this week. So thanks to Kevin for that as well.
Man, Greg fucking rules.
Thank you, Greg.
Here's some exclusive hot goss for you. Vidazen's band Santosha just dropped an entire album.
Whoa, what?
It's really good.
Yes. I didn't
know that.
I've been listening to it like crazy.
I need this.
It is a
It's
fucking
fucking
10 out of 10 album.
Like, it's like, no, I'm not just fucking, like, it's like legitimately amazing. Like, I was like, this is really fucking good.
Can you buy it?
I'm pretty sure
It's on
you can
Spotify.
purchase it on Bandcamp.
Oh, good. Right, okay.
Let's buy it.
Let's all go out and buy it.
That's what I said. Not the thing about Spotify. I didn't say that.
Sorry. The album is called Collecting Sonder, and it is all of the songs they've been playing live that they finally got a chance to actually record. And as somebody who's been to one of those live shows, you need to go to one of those fucking live shows. They rule.
I would if I could.
Oh, it's just a quick hop over the pond.
If you want to hear any news about Greg or support him in any way, you can head over to vidazen.card.co. That's card with 2 R's. Please do. He is the 4th Lord. Kevin's the 5th Lord now.
Hello.
We're collecting
That is
We
true.
are collecting lords.
Gotta catch
we're gonna
them
have to. We're gonna have to like share some duchies with these new lords.
I can be a duke.
Pass the duchy to the left-hand side.
Nobody's laying a finger on my duchy finger.
Okay. Well,
All right, you're one of those guys, huh? You're just gonna smoke the whole thing, just fucking leave us all fucking.
I'm bogarting the duchy.
God damn it!
Don't have a cow, man.
Yeah,
Oh, he's right. All right, I'll give him a duchy.
as always, guys, thank you for supporting the show and listening. Your support means a lot to us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. And another big thank you to Kevin. We love you, Kevin.
Thanks so much for having me on. This was
Kevin
so much fun.
rules.
We love you, Kevin.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.